Welcome back to another video. This is the third part of What If Naruto Was the Leader of the Uchiha Clan, but before we start, check out my Patreon for early access, lemons, exclusive stories, and picture-in-picture mode for mobile users so that way y'all can listen to it while doing something else. Also check out the author's fan fiction page. Link to all that will be in the description. Chapter 11. Kagura Karatachi walked down the hallways of the Mizukage Tower. His black shinobi boots echoed down the long empty hallway. He's grown over the time of this war, mentally and physically. His hair was longer and spikier, which he did not like. All of a sudden Kagura came to a stop and did a once-over of himself. He patted down his clothes to get any dust off them. Black baggy pants, striped light blue top covered by a moss green jacket. Kagura straightened his face and attempted to hide the anger, worry, and sadness he felt. Kagura raised his glove-covered hands and knocked on the door gently but still loud enough to be heard from the other side. "Come in." Kagura's father yelled from inside. He opened the door and closed it behind him as he wanted a private conversation with his dad. There Yagura sat behind his desk filling out paperwork as if he actually cared what happened to this village. What a load of crap. If the men truly cared, he wouldn't allow such things to take place inside his own country. "Mizukage-sama, I have a question I would like answered." Kagura voiced why he came here and stared at his father. Not even looking up to meet his son's gaze. Yagura waved his hand in a carefree motion. "Go on, I don't have all day." Kagura wanted to scowl, but he had more self-restraint than that. "Is it true that Naruto Uchiha has been captured?" Kagura asked. He had heard the other soldiers talking amongst themselves about catching an Uchiha. On further digging, it was found to be Naruto who was captured. But in doing so, they lost Arlen, who was of no importance to Kagura. The boy already knew Naruto would come out on top. For the only person to beat Naruto could be himself and no one else. That was just how things went for two genius. Yagura smiled, finally showing another emotion besides his bored expression. "Indeed we did. Naruto Uchiha, the son of Naka Uchiha and Naori Uchiha. This is truly good news. We can take out that whole clan since I am sure the boy is not here by himself." Kagura had never told anyone that he saw all of the Uchihas at Thriller Grand those years ago. He was going to, but then had second thoughts. But now was not the time for that. He had to inform his leader about something. "Mizukage-sama, I highly advise you to let Naruto go." At hearing his words, Kagura received a perplexed expression from his father. "Did I drop you on your head or something? What kind of dumb question is that?" Yagura sent. He almost wanted to laugh out loud. Kagura inwardly cursed. His father was not taking this seriously. He didn't know Naruto as he did. "You have to release him or those Uchihas will come and wipe us off the map. And whatever prison you have Naruto in won't be standing for long, as no prison can hold Naruto's strength." Yagura put his pen down and looked Kagura in the eyes. "Why are you speaking so highly of this Uchiha? Have you become friends? Are you a traitor?" Between the lines laid a threat that was not missed on Kagura as the boy dropped to a knee and bowed. "No. I am just saying. Naruto Uchiha is stronger than you think. He will soon escape and rain havoc on us right alongside the other Uchihas." Kagura's voice sounded rushed and carried a sense of urgency that had Yagura actually rolling the idea over in his head. "You underestimate the Uchihas. They did not earn the title of the strongest clan for nothing." Kagura finished. "Tell me something, son," Yagura spoke after an eerie silence of just looking at his child. "Do you think I am weak?" "What? No. I never said that. Do you think I am a fool?" "Mizukage-sama, I never said anything like that." Kagura stood abruptly and almost raised his voice. "I am just trying to help. You have taken away the sun which shined light on them. But now that it's gone, only darkness remains. A cold, never-ending well of darkness." Kagura finished in a grave tone of voice. "I am the third Mizukage, a perfect Jinchuriki. I will not be bested by a pitiful Uchiha." Yagura powerfully stated and slammed a hand on his desk. "And Naruto Uchiha is being held in Wave's front. He won't be going anywhere. So he, is Death, and Hitomi are in Wave's front. Hard times are ahead for those two." Kagura thought with crippling sadness for his rival. "We also just killed Kenpachi, slaughtered a large number of the rebels' forces. This little war is going to end in the next couple of weeks." Yagura laid back in his chair and swirled around to stare outside at his village. "And soon, we will purge the world of these devils in human skin. I bid you farewell, Mizukage-sama." Kagura bowed respectfully toward his father and turned to walk out. Once the door closed, Kagura showed brilliant determination. "Don't worry, my friend, I will save you and your clan. Your clan needs you, the rebels need you, I will make sure this good-for-nothing war ends." A goal was made, to put an end to this pointless war and to save his country. "Come on, Naruto-chan. You can do it. Come to mommy." Naori patted her lap on the ground as she watched her 10-month-old baby try to get up and walk. "Look at the little man. He's gonna do it." The baby Naruto put his chubby hands on the ground and slowly got up. He began to walk unbalanced on his small legs and almost fell over. "He's gonna do it." Naka shouted with excitement as he couldn't believe his eyes. Their baby was walking at such an early age.
Vedada.
The baby sounded out his words as he stumblingly walked closer and closer to his parents. Naori wiped the tears from her eyes as she witnessed Naruto walking towards her husband next to her. She was so happy, Naori didn't even care that Naruto was walking to her husband. She'd definitely give Naka an angry pout later.
"Da."
The baby Naruto said and laughed as he fell into the waiting arms of Naka, who held his son with a smile. "Ah, Naruto. I'm so proud of you." Naruto squealed in joy as Naka tossed him up and down. MMA. Naruto reached out to Naori, who eagerly accepted the invite. "Yes, Mama is right here. I will always be here for you." Naori hugged Naruto close to her as she felt absolutely at peace. Naka placed a hand on Naruto's purple tuft of hair and ruffled it. "And so will I." Naka gave a fatherly smile towards his pride and joy. "Come on, Naruto, you have to eat this." Naka tried to feed Naruto a spoon of baby food. But Naruto closed his mouth and leaned away in his baby chair. "No," Naruto spoke one of the only words he knew. "You're overreacting, I'm sure it's not even that bad." Naka pulled back with a sigh. "Eat," Naruto said once again and pointed to the spoon with the food on it. "Fine, I'll show you it's not that bad." Naka then looked at the spoon, which held a green goo on the end. Naka ate it in one go and his face went pale before he got up and threw up in the sink. "Never mind, I see why you don't eat this garbage." Naka then got a better idea and picked Naruto up from his chair. He walked outside to his backyard and saw the beautiful fruit garden. "Your mom is kinda a green thumb." Naka chuckled and continued to walk until coming to a stop under a tree filled with oranges. "Don't tell your mother." Naka picked one from the tree and quickly peeled it for Naruto. "Eat this." Naka handed Naruto a small piece of orange. Naruto took the orange in his small hands and looked at it all around before sniffing it and smiling happily at the smell. Naruto then ate the orange with a happy baby smile. "See, much better. It's called an orange and it's a fruit. Fruits will help you grow big and strong like your dad." Naka informed the 14-month-old baby. "Fruits are healthy and contain good nutrients for your body." Naka poked at Naruto's belly, earning a small giggle from the child. Naruto pointed his finger at a green oval-shaped fruit on the ground. He couldn't speak, so he just made a sound. "Oh, a watermelon." Naka walked over and crouched low to the ground so Naruto could touch the fruit. As Naruto got close to it, he leaned his head on it and began to smack it. Naka chuckled as he observed the funny sight in front of him. "This one looks ready anyways, so I'll get it for you." Naka sent chakra to his fingertips, which were covered in a small blue glow, and he used this to cut the vine on the top of the watermelon. Naka went back inside with Naruto in one arm and the watermelon in the other arm. He sat Naruto in his baby chair while he set the watermelon on the counter and began to dice it up into small shapes easy for Naruto to eat. Once he was done, he set it on a plate for Naruto. "Eat up." Naruto picked the red fruit up in his hands as juices began to run down his fingers. The smell was wonderful and Naruto couldn't help himself as he tossed the thing in his mouth. Naruto's baby black eyes shot open as he began to eat the others until he was all done. "Gee, good. I know, it seems you discovered a new favorite fruit." Naka said, laughing as baby Naruto began to laugh with him. That is when the front door slid open and Naori announced her presence. "I'm home." Naori walked to the kitchen where she could sense her family. There she saw Naruto snacking on watermelon, making a mess all over his baby bib. "Hey Naori-chan, did you get everything for dinner?" Naka asked, walking up and kissing his wife. Naori smiled as she rested in Naka's strong arms. She felt so protected and safe, as if nothing could ever go wrong. "Mama." Naruto held his arms out with a smile. Naori cooed and walked over to her son. "Hey little man. Were you okay here with just your daddy? She gave Naruto kisses on the cheek. I see you're indulging yourself in freshly picked fruits from the garden. Naori was sure to send a look toward Naka, who whistled innocently as if nothing happened. I am not going to be feeding my son any of that trash baby food. Plus, Naruto prefers that real stuff just like I do. Naka said. Naori looked at the watermelon Naka had diced up. Half of it was gone and Naori could see Naruto eating every piece. Fine, I guess we try and switch up what he eats every now and then. Lady Naori. Snapping from her past, Naori looked to her side and saw Saito looking at her with worry. What is it? Naori asked. Kenkami town is up ahead. Northwest doubt the place has been taken over by now. Saito informed with a dark voice as it was now nighttime. Hours had passed since Naruto had battled over here. No doubt the enemy had finally taken over the base by now. What do you suggest we do? Saito asked of their leader. Just keep going, don't stop no matter what. We can take them. Naori darkly gave her response as her Mangekyo Sharingan spun to life in her one eye. The inverse color of her Sharingan still managed to shine under the shadowing darkness. Behind the two was the rest of the Uchiha clan. The ones capable of fighting and not on missions right now. After they all heard the news, they all wanted to march out and avenge their fallen clan heir. The person who had done so much for them. All they could do now was get revenge. In this group of Uchiha were Meera and Jinkisu, sporting dark looks as their mind was filled with nothing but dark thoughts. For Meera, it was killing her. She wasn't there to help Naruto. She couldn't save him like Naruto had saved her so many times. It was a good thing Shisui wasn't around and still on his mission, or he would not want Meera going on this mission. She hated the fact there wasn't anything she could do, this feeling of being useless and helpless. She hated it. But the girl could soak in her own self-loathing later, as now she had to avenge her best friend. And make those bastards pay. Keeping pace beside her was Jinkisu. His midnight blue bangs shadowed the resentful expression he held. The boy's feelings were somewhat conflicted, as felt angry at himself for running and leaving Naruto behind. How could he do that to his brother? He also felt a deathly guilt at the event he witnessed. It was starting to be too much, watching his family and comrades die all the time. He was beginning to get sick of it. However, one thing raged inside him stronger than any other emotion he had ever felt. As this feeling was overwhelming and dominated his senses. Utter destruction. Jinkisu's unique eye pattern glinted in the night as the black tendrils danced in his eyes around his black pupil. As that feeling of death surrounded the boy like an aura, but not just him, all of the Uchihas were cloaked in the feeling of vengeance as hate filled their hearts. They were getting close as they could see the smoke from burning buildings rising into the night sky. Their blood began to pump as their chakra radiated their intent, scaring away all the wildlife. At the gates, Tagaard smoked cigarettes and just leaned back against the destroyed stone wall. You know, why are we even here? It's not like the rebels are going to come and attack us after losing like they just did. I was thinking the same thing. They have been losing a lot lately. This war is about to end. I can feel it. The other men laughed. Yeah. It's crazy they managed to fight back for this long though. No kid dash, the man was cut off as a kunai found a new home in his skull. Huh. What the Sam dash, he was cut off as he was run through by a sword that pinned him to the wall. On the other end of the sword was an angry Naori glaring into the man's soul with her Sharingan. Where is Naruto Uchiha? I don't know, don't kill me. I can help. The man begged for his life, but Naori scoffed and roughly pulled the sword out and gave him even more injuries. Over her head, the Uchihas jumped over the wall and proceeded to cut down anyone in their path, and the sound of explosions and jutsu being launched soon took place. One such person cutting down enemies left and right was none other than Meera. As blood splattered on her face and enemies cried for help, she did not stop as her specially crafted tanto curved and arced through the air and blocked multiple kunai. She ducked underneath a swipe meant to cleave her head off and picked up the kunai on the ground and coated them in fire before hurling them at the three enemy ninja closing in on her. As she got back to her feet, Meera dodged left and right as the kunoichi in front of her was trying to cut her down the middle. Meera's eyes shifted and the symbol in her eye that looked like the sun appeared in her eye. The black triangle markings surrounding the black pupil of her eye spun dangerously. On Meera's tanto a ruby red flame roared to life and her eyes flickered with a ruthless tint as the tanto was blanketed in a red fire that seemed to melt the ground underneath her. Sengen drive. Meera harshly muttered under her breath and she drove forward, carving a path in the ground of melted flesh and clothes that left a burning smell in the air. The ground was now littered with little red flames that did not seem to be going out anytime soon. The woman Meera had just killed fell over dead as she was missing the left side of her body while the other half burned, and she could only scream in bloody murder as no matter what she did the flames did not want to go away. "Quit your screaming, worm." Meera spoke with a blank expression as blood began to leak from her left eye while the right eye was open.
Sengen?
The screaming woman's corpse was then lit ablaze by the engulfing red fire which began to burn the woman to ash, and after that kept burning. Meera lifted her head and noticed she was surrounded and being encircled by more than a dozen ninjas. Even together, a family of worms only serves to feed the hunting eagle. As Meera finished her insulting words that stung at the enemy's pride, they all rushed in with weapons drawn and a killing intent shining in their eyes. From Meera's feet, the flames of Sengen sparked to life before dashing out to impale everyone on pointy spikes that left their lifeless bodies burning and hanging from the spikes. The bloody sight seemed to unnerve the loyalists who witnessed the seemingly innocent girl slaughter all of those ninjas like it was nothing. Meera turned and gave them all death glares as her Mangekyo Sharingan burned holes into their very being and had them shaking in their boots. "Who is first to die?" Meera coldly asked, and the question sent shivers down the other's spine as they slowly crept away. No answer. "Fine. You can all die together." That same red flame that scared them all shitless lit up on Meera's tanto, causing them all to squeak in fear. "Die." Meera zoomed forward and cut them all down, uncaring as their screams reached her ears. Over on a different section of this town-turned battlefield was Hikawa laughing as she battled many opponents and struck down enemies alongside other members of the Uchiha clan. Hikawa shoved her palm outwards and rushing from it was fire that lit up the sky. Hikawa propelled herself forward with the explosive fire and performed acrobatic kicks that sent crushing arcs of fire out to burn her enemies. Buildings began to be caught in the fire as Hikawa just attacked over and over again, and loyalists fell to her mighty blows. "All weaklings, I tell you," Higgin shouted as he launched a fireball toward a group of enemies. Rolling off his back and jamming a kunai into a ninja's heart was Corrigan, Higgin's wife. This mother and father fought alongside their daughter, who seemed to be enjoying herself. Hikawa jumped up and performed an axe kick covered in a large fire that was more than 10 meters long and destroyed many. Once she landed, Meera struck out with her first and a dragon's head roared out with its voice shaking the very air. Many were caught up in the attack and had no hope of escaping, as even their water style did nothing to stop the attack. "She's gotten really good with that, hasn't she, dear?" Corrigan said with an amused raised eyebrow. "I'll say, I'm so proud of her. Look how she tramples over these bastards left and right," Higgin voiced with a bloody smirk. Watching his daughter fight so, Firefly served to stir up that beast inside of him as he was ready to take action again. "But it's a shame, the loss of Naruto is really affecting her pretty hard," Corrigan softly voiced and instantly calmed down her husband. "It's affecting all of us. I don't think the clan has ever fought so hard before. But Jinkasu seems to be taking this extremely hard." Higgin spared a glance to Jinkasu, who was slaughtering any enemy he saw in his path. As Jinkasu moved using his Kenjutsu-style summer folly as no one could stand up to him at the moment. Jinkasu ripped through an enemy with a jab from his longer than normal as the blue wrap of his tachi became covered with blood along with his hands. Jinkasu turned and blocked an attack by holding up his blade, locking eyes with them, and a heartbeat later, Jinkasu placed him in a genjutsu that left him paralyzed. Now with his enemy being frozen, Jinkasu quickly cut the man's head off his body. It wasn't over there though, as his senses picked something up and Jinkasu flipped behind the now dead corpse and used it as a shield to block oncoming ninja tools. As the weapons embedded themselves in the man's corpse, Jinkasu used his strength and threw the body with incredible force towards 4 enemy ninjas. As they caught the body of their dead teammate, they all heard the sound of something sizzling. They saw on the man's back was a paper bomb about to explode. They panicked and tried to grab it but failed and suffered the consequences as the tag blew up, killing them. "Retards," Jinkasu muttered behind dark blue bangs. Jinkasu's eyes honed in on his next victim as a dark purple chakra started to surround his body like an aura. The feeling this chakra gave off was chaotic and destructive as the ground beneath him began to crumble beneath his might. Feeling this aura, the loyalist turned and gave the boy worry looks. Unspoken and uncaring, Jinkasu flashed forward with his sword covered in the purple chakra. He pierced a ninja in the chest with an ease kids his age should not possess. The man's body began to be covered by the chakra and he screamed as the skin began to burn, the skin began to melt, and chakra was destroyed. Water style, water piercing spear. Multiple spears of water were launched at Jinkasu at incredible speeds. Water style, water piercing spear. Copying the jutsu hand sign for hand sign, Jinkasu launched the attack back towards the crowd with 4 times the power. But Jinkasu's spears were different as they were purple, thicker, and more powerful. When they landed, it caused the ground to explode. This was Jinkisu's power. Able to destroy anything this new chakra came into contact with. It was like Jinkisu possessed an entirely different pocket of chakra with this power. The boy looked down at his blood-soaked hands. "Brother." Jinkisu muttered weakly. "Your blood is on my hands." He felt that this was his fault. If he had just leapt from that bush and helped, they could have surely beaten that woman. But he didn't. He just ran away. Like a coward. So Naruto's death was on his hands. Clenching his fist, dark purple chakra ate at the blood, making it disappear completely. "With these new abilities and power, I'll be sure to avenge you, brother." His thoughts continued on about Naruto. How can this be? We were supposed to shake the world, Naruto. We were gonna hold the world in our hands. We were unstoppable. Nobody could stand before the might of us together. But when it mattered, I didn't stand with you. Jinkisu's grip on his sword loosened and it began to slip from his hands as he felt the weight of his actions holding him down with no way of ever getting back up. That was until he remembered what Naruto had told him long ago. "I'll walk in front of you and slaughter anyone who gets in our way. My footprints shall carve a path for all of you to walk with me. I'll face many troubles on that path. I am gonna need someone to walk beside me, carving more footprints in the path so those behind us know what to follow." As the words struck Jinkisu like a kunai to the dome, he enveloped his weapon in a death-like grip. "This will not end like this. I refuse to walk this path without you. I know you hear me, Naruto. You have too much unfinished business. You still have so much living left to do. This isn't over." As this onslaught continued, nobody was feeling angrier than Naori Uchiha. Her feelings were just all over the place right now. She felt crushing sadness, like having one of the tailed beasts sit on her. Naori was sitting atop the wall looking on with a blank expression as death waged beneath her. This was all very hard for her. Naori got to her feet slowly and drew her finely crafted katana from his black sheath. As the wind picked up, blowing strands of purple hair around, Naori turned to face the newcomer. "I'm guessing you are the leader of these rodents," the pale-skinned fellow said angrily. His short and shaggy black hair bristled in the wind. Judo will see you dead." "Good, I need an outlet for my anger," Naori said, speaking in a deathly manner. As she fell into despair over the situation, Naori's anger and hatred took front and center at the moment. Naori's Mangekyo Sharingan sprung to life. What looked like small flower petals in her eyes, the same color as red. "TCH, that's my line." Judo the Jounin rushed in to face Naori in one-on-one combat. Naori had different plans, however, as from her shadow jumped an identical clone of herself. There was a small difference though, as the clone had two horns made from the fire rising from the top of her forehead. This clone rushed forward gripping a blade of fire. When she and Judo clashed, behind clone Naori's head spawned another blade of fire that zipped past Judo, who narrowly dodged and suffered a cut on the cheek. That is when the real Naori appeared from behind Judo and cut him along the back, causing Judo to hiss in pain. He quickly jumped to gain some distance in the fight. That was until another Naori appeared from above holding a spear of wind that was cocked back. This clone also had small horns coming from atop her head, but these were made from the wind. The clone hurled the wind spear forward faster than the eye could see. As Judo was sent crashing to the ground with the spear of wind logged in his gut, he could do nothing but scream in pain. That is when his eyes grew wide as the spear of wind began to twist and spin inside his gut, carving a big hole in his gut. Blood and carved flesh began to spill on the ground as the trail of blood was flowing down the side of the wall. Hearing footsteps, Judo turned his head to see fire clone Naori looking down at him without any signs of remorse. A kunai shaped in fire spawned in her hand, and as if it slipped from her hand, the kunai fell onto the spear of wind, which grew larger and hotter, until it blew up in a massive explosion that destroyed the wall, gaining everyone's attention. Deviant clone, this was Naori's Mangekyo ability. She was able to make clones of the elements of equal power to herself. The clones were only able to use the element they were spawned to, which would be fire, water, wind, lighting, and earth. She was once able to combine the clones and make another powerful element, but with the loss of her eye, it was impossible. As the wall crumbled to the ground and smoke covered the site of destruction, a bright pinkish glow shined through the smoke and blew it away with a strong gust of wind. As the wind quickly rushed away from the monster and hiding behind it. Resting there in all of its pink glory was a magenta-colored Susanoo. It possessed terrifying glowing white eyes. Unlike other Susanoo users, Naori's was more feminine, as it possessed what looked like hair made from the magenta-colored chakra of the Susanoo and bumps shaped like breasts on the chest. This thing possessed an upper torso and 4 arms, with the other 2 branching out from the elbow joint. Naori Susanoo was not clad in armor or any clothing and simply was slick and smooth, the opposite of a raging inferno of flames Naruto's was. In the ribcage of this beast was Naori as she glanced at everyone from inside her Susanoo. "Everyone, get behind me," Naori said, but all the Uchihas heard it as an order. An order they would follow. "Oh boy, they're fucked," Saito said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "No lie, I haven't seen her use this since she fought against Rashi," Corrigan muttered as she remembered that battle clearly. Their squad was nearly wiped out until Naori unlocked the Susanoo and began to battle off the giant ape. In one of the hands of Naori's Susanoo, a condensed ball of chakra began to form. The air around that ball began to swirl chaotically as the power coming from it was mind-boggling. "Hey wait! There are still civilians here. Don't blow up the village," Higan quickly shouted to Naori before she could wipe this small place off the map. As Naori heard his words, she stopped in her actions. "Sorry, I lost focus for a second." "Thank you." Naori managed to give a weak smile. She didn't want to kill innocent people as she would feel even more despair. "It's okay, we all know what you're going through." Higan returned the gesture with his own smile. It was true, they all had lost someone important to them. Whether it be in this war, the last one, or due to Itachi killing off half of them. "Right, I'll just clear out this section of the place." Naori's smile was gone and the ball of chakra transformed into multiple swords that each hand held tightly. The loyalists began to sense the danger and attempted to run away, but it was for naught. Naori swiped the blades outwards and rushing towards her enemies was building tall chakra blades that ripped through the ground and buildings before blowing up with a deafening clap. Silence. Nobody spoke a word as the once overrun village was now reduced to nothing but a destroyed wasteland, at least this part of the village was. The Uchiha who had never seen Naori do battle were in awe as the power of the clan had shined. Naori was the first female Uchiha to awaken a Susanoo and the first female clan head for the Uchiha. Her accomplishments spoke for themselves as many had forgotten Naori was an S-rank ninja. Whoa. Meera breathed out. She couldn't believe what she had just witnessed. The power of Naori was truly incredible. "It's safe to say we won." Next to her, Jinkisu spoke stoically. "I can no longer sense the enemy, which means they are all gone." Naori thought to herself. Now that the enemies were gone, she could go look for traces of Naruto and see if she could find anything. "Jinkisu-chan, take me to where Naruto was last fighting. Everyone else stays here and rounds up any civilians and captures the enemy." "Okay, Lady Naori." Jinkisu then turned to leave until he was stopped by Meera. "I want to come too," Meera pleaded. Jinkisu gave an uncomfortable look as he didn't know what to do. "It's fine, the more eyes the better," Naori gently spoke in her motherly tone of voice. "Okay then, the battle is just over here." Jinkisu turned and leaped off followed by Naori and Meera. As they came to a stop, Jinkisu pointed to the destroyed forest where Naruto and Arlen had been fighting. Naori did a slow walk to the spot as her hand began to shake. It was clear an intense battle had taken place here as this damage was crazy. The burnt ground, what seems to be lighting-based damage, and these sword traces. It's Naru's fighting style. As tears stung at the corner of Naori's vision, she saw a body laying there motionless. She hurried to it only to see someone she didn't want to see. Arlen. That wasn't Naori who spoke, it was Meera. "Looks like Naruto-kun finally beat him." A deep chuckle escaped the girl's mouth as she kicked the body slightly. "His comrades didn't even take his body. How pitiful," Jinkisu said. "Those loyalists were just monsters in human flesh." That is when something got Naori's attention as the light of the moon glinted off it. She looked at the katana resting on the ground covered in blood. Naori walked over and picked the blade up shakingly. There was a chance this could have been Arlen's sword, but looking at his hand, Naori could see he was limply holding a sword next to him. There's one way to tell. Naori lifted the katana up with shaking hands until she could see the butt of the handle. "And you rested in neat handwriting." Naori's hand quickly went up to her mouth to muffle the gasp. She dropped to her knees as she began to shake rapidly. Meera and Jinkisu quickly rushed to her side with worried expressions. "What's the matter?" Meera frantically asked. That's my son's sword. He fought here, and I can only guess they took his body." As the tears broke free from Naori's eyes and tears ran down her face. How could this happen? How did things get to this level? And no. Myra's voice cracked as tears spilled from her eyes as well. She saw the marking Naruto used on all the weapons he created himself. Then it's true, Naruto-kun is really dead. Meera fell to the ground crying her eyes out. Naori let her head back as a cry of pure sadness and anguish ripped through the night sky. As the Uchiha made their way back into the quarry, they received pitted gazes along with sorrowful looks. It appears that everyone has heard what happened and only felt sorry for them. The group began to split up until the Uchihas began to return to their own living space. 3 people appeared out of nowhere from a body flicker. Quickly rushing towards Naori, Jinkasu, and Meera were Shisui, Bunten, and Amuri. Bunten was the first to speak as she clutched onto Meera's shoulders with tears already in her eyes. Tell me this isn't true, Meera. Naruto's not dead. I just spoke to him the other day. Meera's face showed the agonizing pain she was going through as the girl couldn't stop herself from crying. It's true, everything you heard is true. Meera looked away, not having the courage to stare her friend in the eyes. Bunten's face dropped and her shoulders began to shake. She rested her hand on the sword Naruto had crafted for her. When Naruto gave her this present, it was the last time she saw him. Bunten wanted to come out and speak with Naruto, but the events which happened at her household left her feeling miserable and she did not want to be bothered by anyone. Damn it! Bunten shouted in rage. Why did this have to happen? She didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. Not a chance to tell him how much she appreciated him. She wanted to thank him for being her friend when no one else would. Seeing her student, little sister, and even in some sense, daughter. Amuri moved in and pulled Bunten to her chest in a comforting embrace. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. We are gonna get through this. Amuri comforted the crying girl in her arms as she did the best she could. This was bizarre to her. Amuri had no parents to speak of and grew up alone and on the streets. Being a shinobi was all she ever knew since it was the one place she could be powerful. As time went by, she found attachments and comrades she could call friends. A student to train and a goal to fight for with all her being. Amuri would be there for Bunten like she wished someone would be there for her. Shisui saw Meera about to break any second and did what he could to repair her. Come on little sis, brother Naruto would not want you to be feeling like this. Shisui crouched and hugged Meera who held on tight. I just don't know what to do brother. And Naruto-kun is dead. This is all happening too fast. Meera voiced in her brother's neck who rubbed his hands up and down Meera's back. When Meera looked up, she showed her brother her new eyes. But Naruto-kun left me with something. Meera, when did? Shisui stopped himself from speaking any further as he could guess when this happened. Most likely when she heard the news. You must be careful, I am sure little brother Naruto already told you about the curse of hatred. Yes. Meera answered with a downcast look. Naruto had always told her the pros and cons of achieving these eyes. Great power had even greater drawbacks. But I don't really get it, the whole thing is a little confusing. And scary all at the same time, she responded sadly. Until only a moment later she pulled back and showed determination. But I don't want to be scared of this, I don't wish to stumble around in this fog of ignorance anymore. I will become powerful, and this curse will not limit me. Shisui smiled along with Naori. Well, I am glad you feel like that, this is a hard task in which even I sometimes struggle with. Shisui ruffled Meera's hair. He was glad she seemed to have calmed down since the blood on her clothes said she had been very active to say the less. Now, why don't we go train and take your mind off of things and train, you can show me what ability you unlocked. He gestured with a smile. But Meera was not in the mood. Despite what she just said, she felt tired right now and just wanted to rest for a little. Maybe later, but I just want to rest right now. Meera blandly answered and used body flicker to leave to her bed. Naori turned her head as she felt a strong presence just arrive outside the quarry. They were making their way toward her and the group. Just in case, Naori rested a hand on one of her swords in preparation for what was to come. Walking up behind them, Naori slightly turned her head to observe the person. Shisui also felt the person coming and turned to face who it was. The person held what looked like a tall and built frame of muscle. It was hard to tell as the person's body was covered by a brown traveling cloak. Peeking from beneath the mask was a mist Anbu mask with 2 red waves on the side and holding a droopy smile. While strands of mossy long green hair peeked from behind the mask. Hello there. The person's voice sounded lively and electric. It was quite misleading since the person gave off a mysterious aura with how concealed he appeared. Do you guys know where I might find Meitorumi, leader of the rebellion? I am coming back to report my mission details. Naori raised an eyebrow. She did not send Ambu on a mission recently. And what was this person talking about? Mei was no longer the leader of the rebellion. She was. Either this person was one of the people that didn't want her to lead them, felt like being funny, or was on a really long mission. But this person seemed rather fine, as he seemed to be in perfect health. Amiri looked up at the strange fellow. His chakra felt somewhat similar. "Hey dipshit, take off your mask so we can see your ugly mug and identify you." "Oops, silly me. I guess it has been 3 years since I've spoken to fellow rebels. I don't doubt you'd be wary." The person moved their hands up to remove the mask. "It's nice to see you again, Amiri. You've grown into quite a beautiful woman." Amiri's eyes widened and her grip on Bunton tightened just the slightest. "Ariga Kurosuke." Her voice came out trembling as she stared in disbelief at the tan-skinned men in front of her. Those same bushy eyebrows and ugly smile. "I thought you died. It's been 3 years." "Yes, time does fly when you're having fun, aren't we all just having fun?" the cloaked ninja asked with an amused smile. "He is clearly crazy," Shursue thought in alarm. "Someone like this should not be allowed inside this camp." "D-Dad." They were all knocked out of their thoughts when the young girl spoke up, taking hesitant steps forward. Riga raised an eyebrow at the blonde child walking towards him. She looked somewhat familiar, like he had seen that face somewhere. But he was sure that he had no children. He hadn't even had sex with anyone, so no way in hell did he have a kid. "Look kid, I know I am super awesome and I am probably your idol, but I am not your dad." Bunton shook her head stubbornly. "We have the same last name, Kurosuke. I am Bunton Kurosuke. Your daughter. You have to believe me." As Bunton got close and grabbed onto his clothes and stared up at him with desperate eyes pleading for a sense of acceptance. "Please." Staring into her desperate blue eyes, Riga felt his spirit waver as she cried out to him. He racked his mind to search for any information he might have on this girl. Were there any women he had entangled with in the past? Before this all started. Then an image of a nasty-looking blonde woman came into his mind. Lena. Although Bunton didn't like the woman that much, her face still lit up when she heard a familiar name. "Yes, that's the name of my mother. And you are my dad." She would always talk about how trash you were. "But I never believed the ramblings of a drunk woman. That's what Amiri-sensei taught me. So I'm willing to give you a chance, Dad." Bunton rambled on with clear excitement at meeting her dad. "I don't know what kinda image she has of him, but it is not the right one." Amiri thought to herself. She was worried. Riga was not exactly father material from what she remembered. All she could do was somewhat hope he changed. Riga himself just closed his eyes. He now remembered what had happened. He was out drinking and ran into Lena at the bar, which soon led to his bedroom. It was a one-night stand or late-night booty call. But to think, he got the woman pregnant. Damn my weak pull-out game. However, it was clear this girl thought highly of him, so he'd play the part. Bunton found herself being drawn into a hug and she smiled while snuggling. "I'm so glad I finally get to meet you, Dad." "Don't worry Bunton-chan, I'll make sure not to leave you again." While the father and daughter embraced each other, Amiri, Shursue, and Naori eyed them with clear suspicion. Naori decided it was time they took Riga to Mei. She did not have complete trust in this man who showed up out of nowhere. "Let's take you to Mei, I am sure she will have some questions." Amiri and Shursue cast Naori weird looks, but she gave them a look saying trust her. Riga thought Mei was still the leader, and Mei would be a great way to determine where Riga stood. In the room where the leaders of the rebellion meet were Mei, Naori, Amiri, Riga, Haribel, and Shursue. The room was filled with a hot killing intent that made them sweat, Riga more than most. The room was quiet as a mouse, so quiet Riga could hear his heart pounding in his chest and the rapid flowing of his blood. This woman was scary. Riga Kurosaki. It's been 3 years. Mei started the conversation after looking at Riga with her emerald green eye. "Why yes, and you've grown even more beautiful since the last time I saw you." Mei's eyes narrowed. Now is not a time for jokes. Seeing his way of trying to ease the situation was not working, Riga gulped. "Now, where were you?" Riga blew out a breath. "Okay, I was out still trying to complete my mission until I was captured and I just now got away." Everyone regarded the men in silence. It felt like he was keeping something from them, but at the same time telling them the truth. "Leader, what was the mission you sent him on?" Naori asked, drawing everyone's attention to her, for different reasons. Naori gave a subtle nod. They all quickly got the message. Mei continued her interrogation. "I sent you to capture Zabuza Momochi for his stupid attempt at killing Yagura. You should have easily been able to get him. Raiga looked appalled. Easy. Zabuza was one of our strongest jounin, I'm surprised he lost. But I guess when up against the power of Yagura all seems lost. He finished smirking. Why are you talking like that? Tia asked with narrowed, cold blue eyes drilling daggers into the men. You sound like you know Yagura on a personal level. Raiga waved her off as he was starting to get nervous under the gazes of such powerful people. I just respect the man's strength, that's all. And back to Zabuza. Sure, he was heavily damaged, I had an advantage, and the drop on him. Are you saying you still lost? Shursue asked with a deadpan stare. Yes. Raiga answered with pride. Men, you're pathetic. Amiri leaned back in her chair and started to laugh. How could you lose such a fight? There's no way. I agree with Amiri-san, that should have been an easy fight, did he have backup? Shursue asked, stepping into the conversation. Hey. Amiri elbowed Shursue in the side slightly. I told you on the mission you could just call me Amiri. Yeah. Shursue gave a weak nod in response. Their mission was a success and the two had plenty of time on the way back to talk. Raiga eyed Shursue with clear distrust. And what do you know, Uchiha? Shursue replied sternly and unflinching. I've been around the block enough times to know. I can read your chakra levels from here. Shursue activated his mature Sharingan. So, what really happened? Raiga looked at everyone pinning him with their hawk-like gazes. Alright, when I went after Zabuza I was about to fight him until a bunch of loyalists showed up and attacked the both of us. During the fight I and Zabuza teamed up, but using an opportunity, he stabbed me in the back and left me to fight them alone, which ended with me being imprisoned. Raiga finished with a sad sigh. He stood up slowly and began to remove his clothing. I even have the scars to prove it. Once it was off, it revealed the heavily damaged torso of Raiga as scars lined his buff chest and biceps, and abdomen. There was even a large scar on his back where Zabuza literally stabbed him. So you survived and escaped. Were there any others like you? Harabel questioned. You see, about that. Raiga stated and put his clothes back on. They were about to send us to Shigakure Island. But your attack on the general seemed to shake them up on the transport, which allowed me to escape, he said. And as for the others, they kinda died when we launched a revolt. Mei sighed sadly. I see, well, we are glad you managed to come back. I'll inform you about how things have changed later. Mei then gave him a kind smile. Why don't you go and spend some time with your daughter, she's been waiting her whole life. Roger. Raiga stood and gave a mocking salute before leaving and jumped on by his daughter. Once the door closed shut, Mei turned and pinned Naori with a heated glare. What were you thinking leaving with your clan? Do you know how reckless that was? Leaving in the heat of night. Not even trying to gather some sort of plan, just rushing head into things. Mei calmed down with her anger. Yes, Naori-sama. Although I understand why you did it, we can't just allow something so dangerous to slide. Shursue's voice was also stern but laced with concern. Naori stayed silent for a moment as no one could see behind her purple bangs covering her eyes. Did it not benefit us? We took out a whole village of loyalists. Not one death on our side. Perfect mission if you ask me. They were all put off by the dreadful way of speaking Naori spoke. She sounded like a villain who just massacred a whole nation but passed it off like a casual slip of the tongue. Which was true in this situation. Mei bellowed at the older woman. Even so, what if something happened? What if Yagura were to be there? All ifs. Naori replied a second later. And even if Yagura were to appear, I alone would be enough to take him. She paused, as if coming to an understanding. Matter of fact, that sounds like a good idea. Shursue rocketed out of his seat. Hey. Let's calm down here. Although what you say is true, rushing to the village would not be the best idea. I am sure you are fatigued from earlier and everything that has happened. Take a moment and breathe. The team tried to calm the situation down before anything could happen. Things were getting out of hand pretty fast. Mei took a moment to collect herself. Her outburst was not needed, but the message still needed to be delivered. What the Uchihas did could have easily backfired. I'm sorry for my anger-filled words, but I just need you to know that what you did was incredibly reckless. We can't afford to lose your leadership and power in such a tense situation. We need you more than ever right now. Mei reached out and gently laid a hand on Naori's leg. Seeing that her words seemed to be getting through to the Uchiha, Mei pushed forward. I know your mind must be a maze of emotions right now, but we are here for you. Everyone here has experienced the same kind of pain you have. I too lost my family in this war. But together, we can come out of this stronger than ever. The auburn-haired beauty finished with a gentle smile as she pulled the silent woman into a hug. Mei felt Naori's body tense up before it all just vanished in an instant, and Naori just sobbed into the arms of her close friend. Everyone began to file out of the room quietly as they could see the two needed their privacy right now. Man, I hope she gets better. Amiri spoke downcast. Yeah, I am sure she will. We just need to stay and support her in the best way we can. Shursue said. Speaking of comfort, shouldn't you be going to comfort that sister of yours? Harabelle reminded Shursue. Matter of fact, I'll go and get her favorite food and bring her some. Shursue turned and gave the two women a grateful smile on his handsome features. Gee, thanks you too. I don't know what I'd do without you. It was a good thing Harabelle had her collar up, or the tinting of her cheeks would have been seen. This caused her to leave quicker than normal. Amiri was not so lucky, as her cheeks turned red and could be seen by Shursue, who took notice. Hey, what's wrong? Why are you getting all red? He leaned closer and put a hand on her forehead. Amiri's face got even redder as she quickly muttered a reply. Igatagabi, leaving Shursue there confused, until he gained a grin and cackled madly. The mischievous ways of his sister had rubbed off on him. I just pray to God that this all works out in the end. Shursue let his prayers wander in his mind. Little did he know, a god was listening to his prayers and all of the Uchiha's prayers. This strange guardian deity who watched over all of them with a smile seemed to think to itself. Maybe it was time to contact the Uchiha's priestess. Its only wish was that they could hear them, so the deity could actually connect with its followers. But in order for that, the Uchihas needed a shrine, a priestess. Drip. Drop. The sound of water droplets splashing on the cold plain ground seemed to go on forever, with each sound driving him closer and closer to the edge. How long has it been since I've failed? A young, quiet voice sounded. It's been 2 weeks, you weakling. A dark voice responded to him inside his mind. This darkness inside of him seemed to have come for another visit on his psyche. A growling sound made its way to his ears. He was hungry, downright starving. They should be coming any second now. The sound of boots walking along the floor came to his ears, and Naruto looked up behind dirty purple hair. His eyes looked bloodshot as he hasn't been sleeping, not to mention it was hard to see. One, because he was going blind, and the other because it was dark. Naruto Uchiha, time to eat. A loud obnoxious voice unlocked his cell with jingling keys. They shined a torch in his cell which showed the poor conditions he was in. Shirtless with fresh wounds on his body. Cuts and bruises. All just torture they tried inflicting on him. Hoping to break his mind and get some information. His black pants were dirty and tattered, and he was barefoot with a thick chain on his ankle. He had a big seal on his chest restraining his chakra. Hope you like fish. They came in and put a tray on the ground in front of him. Just to add insult to injury, they punched him in the face and gave his body a couple of kicks. This can all be over if you tell us what we want to know. And no thanks. Naruto gave a weak replay as he spits out fluids. They growled and looked at the seal on his chest. How do you like that Uzumaki seal? Restricting your chakra almost completely. Almost. Naruto thought wickedly. It was almost time. But he had to give it to the Uzumaki. This seal was amazing. If they could get their hands on something like this. The thought made his blood flow with excitement. He'd have to find an Uzumaki seal on books when he was done with this place. We'll be back for your normal session of our little game. They left laughing and moved on to the next cell. Things can't keep going like this. I don't know what's going on outside. My comrades need me, we can't afford another setback. We've got to escape from this place. Listen to yourself. We got to escape, I have to get back to my comrades. The voice mocked him with wicked joy as it found pleasure in his torture. Can't you see? They are holding you back. It's because of them that you've become so weak and pitiful. As Naruto ate the cooked fish, he just listened to the voice in his head. But he had a question. Who are you? The voice chuckled deeply and darkly inside his mind. You already know the answer, but you are too scared to admit it. I am you. The darkness in his mind said. You are only limiting your capabilities, and fearing what you don't understand. Naruto paused in his eating. Was this voice right? Or was he right? Would he really be stronger if he had just given into his darkness? That's what Madara did, and look how strong he was. The only person able to rival the first Hokage. His father did it, and he was super strong. One of the strongest, feared by everyone. That's what he wanted. But Naruto leaned his back against the cold brick wall. He closed his eyes and just let his mind float in a sea of darkness, as he slowly floated down to the pits of hell. I understand, was all he thought. You are me, my inner demon so to say. I just didn't want to admit it, you only speak about things that I want. I want to escape, I want to be the most powerful. Those are all things I've said and thought about. How could I be so foolish? Our clan was really being plagued by something so childish. You are only just a mirror image of me. A version of myself I feared. Something I kept locked away. I only focused on the trivial and lost sight of what was most important. Change for the clan was impossible in the fog of ignorance we were in, there was no way for us to ever truly break free. If regulation is the only thing we've ever known. There was no response to his statement. But Naruto did feel renowned. Like he was filled with vigor all of a sudden. His eyes opened, and it was time to get out of this place. Naruto lifted up his right arm and looked underneath his armpit. There was a seal containing the cells of Hashirama. He was gonna inject them into himself. There was no other option at this point. Oi. Hey guys, I've got some news. A prisoner guard yelled and later came running down the hall. What is it? Our spy has infiltrated the rebel camp and is giving us information as we speak. Yagura-sama says we don't need these people anymore. Naruto's eyes widened along with everyone else who heard. Which they did, it wasn't like they were being quiet. Not good. About time. And I know who we are killing first. Their excited footsteps got closer to his cell but walked by to the one right in front of him. Get out of here, Ditomi, you bastard. You are going to the same place where Kenpachi is. You bitches. Isdeth yelled in anger against her cell beside him. Hold on, sugar tits, we'll get to you soon. The men spat in her direction. Ditomi gave a weak smile in return as he looked beaten and bruised along with everyone else. Tell your wife I love her. Ditomi mocked with a smirk. You dirty rebel. Ditomi was rocked across the face and stabbed in the chest. Not such a smart mouth now are you. Ditomi coughed out some blood. D-damn, you cut off my chest hair. Go to hell. The men brought his kunai up before plunging it down into Ditomi's chest again and again and again. The wet sound of the kunai entered human flesh as it ripped apart Ditomi's chest. Naruto's eyes darkened as he gave the men a glare that could freeze hell over. They were all going to die pretty soon. Many of the other prisoners began to sob as death was on the horizon. But their tears meant nothing to these ruthless guards who simply slaughtered them. Alright, time to die. A man opened his cell with a bloody kunai in hand. Naruto tensed as he was ready to counter. Wait. Let's have some fun with these last two first. The other suggested with a wicked grin. How about bloody explosion? Oh, that's a good one. He gave a bloody laugh before roughly grabbing Naruto and bringing him along. They also grabbed a protesting Isdeth but held her in different locations than they did with Naruto. Which earned them all murderous looks from the Yuki. Naruto was sure they would get a painful death. When they entered another room, it was more like a cave than a room. The place was covered in dried blood and seemed to have bones and explosive marks all over the place. The place was also cold, with no windows, just a damp dark cave being lit with torches. In the middle of the room was a table. A wooden table with two wooden chairs on the end of it. They pushed them down in the seat and pulled out an explosive seal. The person in charge also lifted the seal on their chest but made sure to pin them with a stare as he did it. The small cramped area was heavily guarded by loyalists, so even if they did try and make a break for it, they would be caught and killed on the spot. You look like shit. You smell like it. Naruto responded to the smirking Yuki in front of him. They were talking low to not be heard by the guard. Isdeth and he were both slapped across the face. Shut up. You piece of shit. Isdeth snapped with anger. Hey, chill out. Naruto harshly whispered. I've got a plan. Naruto looked the woman in the eyes as she stared back with resolve clear. One chance. She responded. What is it? Isdeth was slapped again and so was Naruto. No talking, just play. How do we play? Naruto asked before Isdeth could respond and get them killed. The men turned to them with a smirk. Well, I lifted the seal on you so you can use your chakra again. All you have to do is send your chakra into the tag and maybe it will blow up. If you survive 3 times, you get to live. Now that the rules were explained, Naruto just had to rig this. Or maybe not. A plan was already in motion and he knew what to do. I've got this, he said, looking at Esteth, who nodded and began to fidget in anticipation. Now, don't send chakra in it until I say so. Naruto and Esteth nodded. He turned and quickly walked away. Start. Esteth put her hand on the tag first and sent chakra into it. She closed her eyes and hoped it didn't blow. Time seemed to slow and her feeling of the world changed. Nothing happened. Esteth sighed and almost relaxed in her chair. She leaned back and summoned some of her chakra but kept it just low enough to where it wouldn't be noticed. Little did she know, Naruto had been doing the same thing this whole time, 4 days. He was ready to blow his load all over this place. Come on, now's our chance. Esteth basically demanded with a hard stare. Play. The guard shouted. Alright, follow my lead. Their biggest mistake was not taking away all of his chakra and walking away from them. Naruto reached out to the seal with slow hands as some of his chakra traversed down his hands. Naruto took a deep breath and spoke darkly. Ready. Naruto sent more chakra than needed into the tag, which made it glow brightly and sizzle. The world slowed as Esteth picked up the table and launched it to the guards, all grouped together at the entrance. The guards understood what was about to happen and tried to run away but were too late as the table gave way to a massive explosion that sent tremors through the whole underground prison they were in. Esteth also put her hands on the ground and an ice wall rose up to block the explosion. Boom. After everything settled, Esteth dropped to a knee and began to pant. Get up, nobody's coming to save us. We've got to go. I can't know that, US shrimp. Esteth panted and got to her feet but wobbled a little. Naruto lifted his arm and reached for the seal underneath his arm. Coming out of the seal was the syringe holding the cells of Hashirama. The liquid still looked rich as ever and now was the time to use some of it. In his current condition, Naruto would certainly die if he used the whole thing. What is that? Esteth asked and picked up a spare kunai. Power. That was all Naruto responded with. Naruto looked for one of the blue veins in his arm. He held his left arm out and moved the needle to the vein. Okay, just enough to give me a boost. The syringe was filled with 60 milliliters and Naruto was just going to give himself half. So he pushed the icy needle into his arm and injected the cells into his body. Almost in an instant, Naruto felt his body be flushed with chakra that rejuvenated his very being. It was painful though as he fell to the ground and began to clench his body in pain as grunts and moans of displeasure escaped from him. His cells began to grow stronger by the second, his blood pumped, the unhealed wounds on his body began to heal, and his chakra skyrocketed. All of a sudden, it stopped. This worried Esteth as Naruto looked like he was being possessed by a demon and would soon jump on the ceiling. Naruto's chakra covered his body and took on a smooth gray color before turning crystal white. Naruto stood up quietly as he looked just a bit taller and healthier. His once chaotic chakra now came off him in a steady flow like a steaming river high in the mountains. Let's move. Naruto opened his eyes and he could see much clearer. Things at a far distance seemed kinda blurry but for the most part, things were back to normal. The enemies are coming. Naruto said, now being able to sense everyone in this prison. They were miles underground. I bet they felt the explosion in your chakra. Esteth said, walking closer to the Uchiha. She looked at his body to search for anything out of the ordinary. That is when she felt a strong arm wrap around her waist and pull her in close. Hold on tight. Naruto and Esteth were enveloped in a white ribcage before more of the body soon flared to life and it grew in height until its head was destroying the rock ceiling above. Naruto clenched his fist as the thing began to stand and break through the ceiling even more so. The Susanoo opened its palm before a Magatama ball appeared and Naruto transformed it into a drill around its hand. The thing then jumped up with its powerful legs as it drilled right through the rocky surface like it wasn't even there. Once Naruto broke through the final floor, he rose from the ground with the full body of Susanoo. Wrapped in a slick flaming white robe, the Susanoo stood tall with weapons in each of its 4 hands. Now that they were stable, Esteth pushed away from Naruto. Touch me like that again, and I'll kill you, she said, glaring at him. Shut up. Naruto ignored the women as they stood in the center of the Susanoo. The small scythe in each hand glowed brightly before sending out destructive discs of chakra at the base below them. Wait. Our allies are in there. Esteth yelled in protest. I know, that's why I am only destroying the surface. As the buildings exploded in a large cloud of black dust, the sound traveled for miles in all directions. The place is in panic, those strong enough to make it out will. Naruto turned in the Susanoo and began to run in the opposite direction. We've got to make it back. They ran into the nearby forest for a couple of minutes until Naruto gave out and he and the Susanoo vanished. Death managed to catch him in time and land on a tree. They were a good distance away and frankly, she was surprised the kid got them so far out anyways. Naruto had earned her respect. She didn't waste time and started jumping through the forest with Naruto over her shoulder. Now how do we get back? Death thought. Jumping through the trees in silence, she really didn't know where she was going. It had been an hour but nothing popped up. I hope everyone is alright. But before she could dodge, Death was struck with a kick across her face, sending her and Naruto to the ground. Fuck, just give me a break. To think, I thought I was gonna have to break you out myself. Death looked up to see Kagura holding Hiramakari and Nuabari. I must give props, I don't know how you did it. But I am glad. What do you want? And why are you glad? Want the kill for yourself? Death sent back getting ready for anything. Kagura shook his head. I am not here to fight. I just want to pass a message. What message? It's the ones closest to you, who you must worry about the most. Kagura gave his cryptic response. Tell Naruto I'll be waiting for our rematch. And this time, I'm going to win. Also, your camp is to the east, later. With that, he was gone. As if he was never there to begin with. What is he talking about? Death asked while keeping her head on the swivel just in case. Until her eyes widened. The spy in our camp. She rushed off with all her speed in the direction of the quarry. Death had finally made it. The sun was setting and she just wanted to lie down and rest. That would soon come, all she had to do was get inside the quarry. Naruto was really starting to get heavy on her back after lugging him around for hours. Hey! Come over here. Death yelled into the fog, intending for the guards to hear her cries for help. She knew that some guards were standing on top of the gates looking out over the fog. Only moments later as Death moved closer did she feel cold steel pressed against her neck. Do you have a death wish? The guards asked in low threatening tones. It's me, Death Yuki and Naruto Uchiha. This boy needs medical attention, quickly. Her last words fell silent as exhaustion caught up to her and she passed out. The guard quickly caught her and got a good look at her face, while his partner looked at Naruto. Their eyes widened in shock and disbelief as everything matched up. Oh my god. Quickly tell Naori-sama, get these two to the medical bay. The man flared his chakra, alerting those around to quickly come. More ninjas showed up and gasped. They quickly began to mutter in excited whispers. The medical ninja appeared and picked the two up in comfortable positions and used body flicker to head toward the medical bay. The doors to the medical wing burst open as a rushed mother was walking with a pep in her step towards. She grabbed the first doctor by the shoulders and asked her question with trembling lips. Where is my son? Did he really return? The doctor brightened. Yes, he's all the way down the hall being gourdash. The doctor didn't get to finish as Naori moved him aside and began to race down the hallway with tears already falling down her face. My baby, I need to see him. Thank you, doctor. Shursue thanked the men as he followed Naori. Behind Naori were Meera and Jinkasu. They were the first to hear the news, of course, since it regarded them. Naori almost blew the door off its hinges as she entered the room. She gasped and put a hand to her mouth to cover the choked sobs wanting to escape. She slowly walked around the bed carefully to avoid the medic ninja working on healing Naruto and Death. They were both underneath the sheets naked, laying in their bed with bandages and IV machines strapped on them. Naruto, however, seemed to be tied down and his body constantly jerked and moved. He grunted and tried to flail his arms as a painful scream escaped his lungs. Quickly hold him down. One of the medics yelled and they tried to hold Naruto down. Sedate him. It's not working. The doctor yelled in panic. His throat was then grabbed and he found himself being lifted off his feet. You won't break me. As the veins in Naruto's arm clearly showed signs of strain and his chakra was erratically jumping around inside his body. He still managed to hold up a grown man in his sleep. Naori was basically breaking down as she looked at the poor condition her son was in. She moved and grabbed Naruto's shoulder. Son. Calm down. You're safe now.
Naruto-kun.
Also crying, Meera ran next to Naruto and tried to release his grip on the doctor. It took Shisui coming over and poking Naruto in a pressure point to release his grip on the now gasping doctor clutching at his throat. "Brother, what did they do to you?" Jinkasu asked, feeling sorry as he looked down at Naruto. Naruto's movement calmed down as his mother's voice seemed to calm him. In his sleep, he began to relax and slow his brethren. Naori leaned down and kissed Naruto on the head gently as her tears spilled on his face. She wiped them and smiled. "It's going to work out, Mama's here for you." She grabbed Naruto's hand and held it tightly. "We're all going to get through this, together." Naruto for some reason felt at peace with himself at this very moment. There was no turmoil in his heart, no dark side trying to corrupt him into giving into hatred or anything like that. In fact, he felt as if he had won. The greatest battle that he was constantly fighting had finally come to an end. There was no longer any hatred in his heart as he learned to accept himself for who he truly was. Unlike how his dad had told him that love was the counter to hate. And love would free him when the time came. He found peace in accepting himself. He found peace in defeating himself. Drifting in a sea of darkness, Naruto could not tell where he was. This felt like the time he had that one nightmare about killing everyone. He didn't want to experience that again, it was hell. But that left a question. "A question I can answer for you." A motherly voice sounded in his ears, reassuring him everything would be okay. "Who's there?" Naruto asked as he reached behind his back for a weapon but only gripped at the air. Even his kunai pouch was gone, leaving him with just his hands, which was okay in his book. That is when the darkness in his view began to be replaced with color and his world was flipped upside down. When he opened his eyes again, he was left speechless and mind blank. What greeted his vision was a view many painters would kill for. The sky was blue and white clouds still floated above, illuminated by a bright sun and all. But sitting underneath the sky was a very, very large mountain. Its tip was covered in white snow that gently rested, unbothered by the breeze flowing in the air. In front of the mountain were smaller, less imposing sharp hills that went off as baby mountains that were still rocky and green. A crystal clear lake showed the reflection of the mountain, giving proof of how clean and pure the water was. Surrounding the bountiful lake were sakura trees with their pink petals floating in the wind. What a truly beautiful place to be, and he couldn't stop the amazement from showing on his young face. He reached down and touched the soft green grass that enveloped his hand in a hug. "This place, I can feel it, and even smell it." The place smelled like a forest with hints of sweetness. The amount of chakra here is unreal. If someone could absorb the chakra from this place, they could change everything. Always want to see the benefits in things. "That's something I like about you, Naruto-kun." That voice, which was clearly female or an older woman, came again. They let an angelic giggle escape their lips as they found amusement in the situation. "You know me?" Naruto asked, on edge and getting ready should someone launch an attack on him. His eyes widened as he felt slender arms wrap around his neck and raven black hair trace down his shoulders. The skin was pale, much like his own, and he could feel mounds of flesh pressing against his chest, letting him know the gender of this mature woman. "Oh, how I've longed to meet you, my child." "My child? This is not my mother." "Who are you? And why do you call me your child?" "You are not my mother," Naruto said with a bit of anger in his tone. He did not take disrespect about his mother lightly and would dish out punishment to anyone who would dare offend her. "Silly, I am the mother of all Uchiha." The woman let him go and floated around so Naruto could finally take in the speaker. "I am the mother of all volcanoes and am known as the Blossoming Princess." What Naruto saw indeed was a woman, an older woman who looked to be the same age as his mother. She possessed hair that flowed down her backside and princess-style bangs covering the side and front of her pale and peerless skin. Looking into those loving charcoal eyes of hers made him stir inside as she looked at him with motherly affection and maybe something more. Her outfit was elegant and fit, which helped boost her godlike appearance. It was a black kimono with red lining on the edges, as it was all tied by a red and black obi. In the center of this was a flower with sakura leaves as petals. "Come, my child." She waved her finger, pulling Naruto into her embrace with some unknown force that felt like chakra. She stroked his hair softly with a warm smile. "This goddess will answer any of your questions, as I know you have a lot." Naruto didn't know how to feel right now. He was in some strange place, being touched by a woman saying she was the mother of all Uchiha and volcanoes. He was really confused, to say the least. "Are you a god for real?" "I am. My name is Sengen Uchiha." "Can you show me your Sharingan?" "Okay." She gave a chipper reply, and the next second he knew Naruto was looking into the red eyes of the Sharingan. 3 tomo and all. But this was just the basic form. Did she not have anything beyond that? Sengen could turn them on and off, which meant she did not steal these eyes and they were truly hers. But he was having a hard time believing all of this. He was in the arms of a goddess. "Now do you believe me?" she asked, still playful as she leaned down to give Naruto a better view of her eyes. "Not really, but I suppose you aren't a thief of our clan's eyes," Naruto said, leaning away from the woman's contact, making her give a cute pout. "What do you mean by, you are the mother of all Uchiha?" Sengen cleared her throat and somehow summoned a bottle of water in her hand. "Like many other gods, you all prayed to me and asked for power. Similar to how Uzumaki worshipped the Shinigami, you all worshipped me. And in return, you are blessed with the eyes you possess now." She stopped to see if the boy was following and had any questions. "But I read that the Sharingan was from the Sage of Six Paths. And we are all his descendants." Naruto gave the knowledge he had learned from Madara's journal. The man was smart and dug deep into the teachings of the world, which leads him to uncover some big secrets. True, but where do you think he got it from? That he was angry and it just popped into his head. Sengen released Naruto, but not all the way, as she locked their arms together and began to walk on the lakeside. The sage was struck with grief after discovering his girlfriend had been killed due to his mother. In his depressed state, he wandered around the world until he came close to a certain mountain that looked just like that. Pointing a finger at the mountain in the distance, she kept walking. "That mountain is known as Mount Fuji. I hope you find it in the future." The man was tired and fell to his knees begging for anything, for someone to answer his call. "So I did. And after hearing the man out, I blessed him with the Sharingan, which later evolved into the Rinnegan. But that's for later." Sengen waved the important details aside which Naruto wanted to know more about. But all of this news was such an eye-opener for him. "I have a question." "Yes." "How did you answer the call? Did you descend from the heavens?" "No, silly, I can't do that." Sengen gave an angelic laugh. "It's against the law set by Kami-sama. So since I couldn't leave, I just brought the guy here, my personal dimension."
Kami-sama?
"The goddess of life. She's real too?" Naruto asked in disbelief. "Yup, and her two other sisters," Sengen said. "Wow, I'm shocked. This is all hard to take in." Naruto looked up at the rosy sky. How would he explain this to everyone when he got back? He had met their goddess. The word had to be spread. "But let's get back to the story," Sengen said. "Since you seem to know so much already thanks to that journal of yours, I won't bore you with the other small details. But anyways, the man passed on the knowledge about the volcano to his descendants, who all returned to give thanks and all the other good deeds, like offerings, prayers, and even well wishes." Sengen waved her hand in the air and a memory of his mother and father popped up. They were in the Naka shrine on their knees praying. Things like this happened all the time. It became an occurrence for people to come to this shrine the clan built for me and pray. Your parents prayed the most for my blessing, showing up twice a day wishing for a healthy child. She finished with a soft smile, looking at the child she was locking arms with still. "Mother and father prayed for me?" Naruto asked, surprised. "All the time. I'm grateful that they cared about me so much." Naruto closed his eyes with a soft smile on his face, and tears stinging the corner of his eyes. "Thank you, Sengen-sama, for everything you've done for the clan over the years." The goddess's cheeks turned red and she turned away and poked her fingers.
"Oh, Naruto-kun.
"You needn't thank me. I was just doing what any benevolent god would. But I must, for all the Uchihas, I thank you." Naruto cupped his hands and bowed at the waist. "My goddess," he said with heartfelt words and honesty. Sengen turned back smiling, still keeping a rosy blush. "Well, when you have the best children, you do anything for them." Sengen locked arms with Naruto, who didn't put up a struggle this time, and continued their walk. "But like I was saying, I am Sengen, a goddess. I gift every Uchiha who has the potential to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan their ability, since they all stem from me. This is why I only have this base Sharingan, as you saw earlier." "So are you saying you've run out of abilities to give? And that is why you only have the base Sharingan?" "No, I only have the base Sharingan because all my kids have my eyes. The unique pattern you hold is the same pattern I would have. So I just gift them to you." Naruto was now starting to understand. Sengen could use all the abilities of the Mangekyo Sharingan and everyone's unique abilities, which were all rooted from her. This meant she could use Kamui, Elemental Clone, Amaterasu, and all the rest. It was amazing. "You are amazing, Sengen-sama. To be able to use all of the clan's abilities. You must be a capable fighter. Inside, Segan squealed. But on the outside, she only coughed in her hand. Well, of course, I am a master of all Uchiha powers. As the mortal and god walked and talked, Naruto learned more and more about the history of his clan and even more things about Sengen. The woman really loved to talk about herself, Naruto figured out. As they walked, Naruto noticed the woman had an Uchiha crest on the back of her robe, which made him smile. In this dimension, Naruto learned that the animals here were the same as on Earth, and so were the trees. But now they stood on top of the mountain, overlooking Sengen's domain. The wind blew and whistled past his ears. Now unfortunately, you have to go back. Sengen's voice sounded sad as she looked back toward Naruto. It's fine, I didn't think I could be here forever. But will I be able to come back and see? Naruto asked. Sengen again squealed inside her mind. He wants to come and see me again.
Oh Kami-sama.
After her inner excitement, she calmed down and answered Naruto's question. No, you can't come here by yourself, I have to bring you here, or when you die you come here. I see. Naruto gained a thoughtful expression as his mind began to come up with questions, one of them revolving around Kamui. As Naruto fell, his goddess hugged him again and his head pushed into her chest, making him wonder why older women always did this to him. Remember to pray to me, Naruto-kun, and spread the word about your goddess. But you will need a priestess once again, if you wish to talk to me or come back to this place. Where can I find a priestess? She has already been chosen and begun to train for the position, you will know when the time comes. Sengen gave Naruto important information that would help further the clan. Now goodbye and stay strong, my gifted child, as I gave you the greatest Manjikyu ability. As Naruto began to fade, he gave the woman a grateful smile. Yes, Kamui has helped me much. Sengen shook her head. Ask to see your mother's ability, good luck. Love you. Naruto luckily heard the last words of his goddess before he faded from view. Naruto blinked his eyes before he opened them. At first, his vision was blurry and fuzzy. His eyes soon then got adjusted to the sunlight piercing through the white curtains. Looking around to check his surroundings, he noticed that this was a hospital room. Naruto propped himself on his forearms and got a clear view of the room. Next to his bed, a couple of feet away, was his death lying asleep in a hospital gown just like him. Brother Naruto, you're finally up. Naruto's eyes moved to Jinkasu, who was sitting in the shadow of the room holding his tachi, which was 24 inches long. The boy quickly got up and walked over to Naruto's bedside with a worried expression. Are you feeling okay? Yes, actually, better than ever. And that was for sure. Due to the Hashirama cells Naruto implanted into his body, he had been healed phenomenally. He could see better, and his chakra capacity and density had also improved. Even his body felt tougher. My power has also increased. Great. Jinkasu then brought Naruto into a hug as Naruto returned. We were all so worried about you, it's been 3 days and you didn't wake up. Jinkasu released the hug and wiped the tears on the edge of his eyes. 3 days? What was I doing? Naruto asked in shock. From what it looks like, growing. You are bigger in height and muscle. The medical ninja working on you said your chakra was rising and getting adjusted to your body. Jinkasu gripped and poked at Naruto's much broader shoulders and leaner biceps. Yeah, or do I only look big to you because you're much smaller? Naruto took the chance to joke with his brother. Whatever, just wait till puberty comes. I'll be bigger than you could dream of. Jinkasu rolled his eyes, but smiled nonetheless. It was good having his brother back, as his spirit felt much lighter already. Jinkasu then pulsed his chakra, which was felt by Naruto. Why did you do that? Your dash. Son. Before the boy could finish his sentence, Naruto was wrapped in a bone-crushing hug. Naruto, I'm so glad you are okay. Do you know how worried I was about you? Naruto could feel his mother's tears drop onto his face as she plastered kisses all along his face while giving off happy laughs. Mother, you can stop now. Naruto said, smiling as he just enjoyed the hug from his beloved mother. All Naori did was pull her head back and smile down at him cheerfully. Naru-chan, I'm so glad you are okay. I thought I lost you forever. She couldn't help herself and hugged Naruto again. Her son was alive and well. Naruto took in his mother's appearance. Her normally well-kept hair was disheveled and looked to be falling out. He could also see tiny strands of gray hair, combined with the bags under her eyes, painted a nasty-looking picture of his mother. Mom. Naruto softly said, grabbing Naori's attention. Yes, what is it, son? You haven't been taking care of yourself. Your hair's a mess. You haven't even been sleeping enough. Naruto still held that soft tone as he spoke lovingly to his mother. His fingertips moved down her rough purple hair. You have to take better care of yourself. The tears in Naori's eyes boiled up and spilled from her eyes as she hugged Naruto again. How can I sleep when my precious son was missing? None of that mattered to me, I just needed you to be okay. She said, voice shaky. But it's fine now, you're back and safe with me. Inside, he felt terrible. He caused his mother this much pain and it was eating away at him. Naruto was supposed to protect his mom and make sure she stayed in good health at all times. That is a lesson his father taught him. She was the only mother he had, after all, there was no replacement for her. Even Sengen, mother of all Uchiha, was just a goddess to him. Only one person could hold the spot of his mother. But what happened to you? Why are you all big now? Naori observed as she looked at her son who seemed much more lively and healthy. He filled out more and even bulked up a bit. I don't like it. Age back down, it feels like I missed out on your life. Naori whined as she took Naruto in a rocking hug while waterfall tears ran from her eyes. It must be a side effect of the Hashirama cells. To think the impact would be so profound. Who knows what might have happened if I'd taken the full vial? Naruto thought in great alarm. But he loved the power boost he gained from these cells, it was to die for. He was going to tell his mother about this. He looked around the room to see if it was filled with people he could trust. Jinkasu, his mother, and a sleeping Esdeath. This would do. Mother, about what happened, I injected cells of the first Hokage into my body to help restore the damage done to me and also gain a greater buff in strength. Naori looked at him in deadpan. You did what now? A sigh escaped his lips. This was going to be a pretty long explanation. So Naruto proceeded to explain that when finding Madara's journal, he also discovered the cells of the first Hokage. Which he explained is what was now coursing through his veins and also why he looked bigger and his chakra more potent. After the explanation, Jinkasu gave Naruto a thumbs up. Way to plan ahead, brother. I could learn a thing from you. Naori on the other hand. She began to shake. Hard-headed boy. Do you have any idea what could have happened? Why would you perform something so reckless? What if the drawbacks were more than you could have imagined? Back in the Leaf, people died trying to do these same experiments you just did. Naori brought her fist down on Naruto's head, causing the boy to fall back on his pillow. I'm sorry, mother, but I had no choice. It was the only way to escape. In the shape I was in, it was the only option. Naruto tried to explain, but his mother still glared down at him angrily with hints of distress and sadness in her eyes, but mainly the motherly fury. Until her head dropped and she rested her face in the palms of her hand. What am I going to do with you? She mumbled quietly, mainly to herself. My baby isn't a baby anymore. The scene of seeing his mother shed tears for him served to cause his cold heart to flake apart. He brought her into a hug and patted her back softly. I'm sorry for being such a problem child, mother, I hope you can forgive me someday. Naori only hugged back and let tears fall. My idiot son, I will always love you, no matter what. She kissed Naruto on the forehead. And don't you forget that. That's when they all heard a menacing chuckle. Hee hee, the Uchiha heir still getting kisses from his mommy. Esdeath said, leaning on her fist with a teasing smirk. Silence, ice wench. Don't ruin such a beautiful scene. Jinkasu said, pointing his weapon at Esdeath, who gained a tick mark. Ice wench. She raised her finger and a blade of ice materialized above her, which soon raced towards Jinkasu, who simply caught the ice sword by the hilt. You little Uchiha brat. Where is your motivation? Jinkasu spoke coolly as he tightened his grip on the sword, which caused it to shatter into little pieces. What? They all said in unison. Nothing, just finish what you were talking about. Yeah, but I have more news to share with you, mother, and the whole clan really. Naruto said excitedly, and Naori could see it clear as day. Must be something really good to have you so worked up. Naori said, smiling. Tell you what, I'll hold a clan meeting where you can tell everyone what you discovered. Well, now that you are done, I have some things to say as well. Esdeath spoke up and picked herself up to sit up straight. She was serious and the atmosphere of the room switched just like that. What is it? Naori asked, also serious now. Not wanting to skate around the ice ring, Esdeath just came out and said it. There is a traitor in our midst. On my way back, I was visited by Kagura and he told me there was a traitor in our forces. Kagura, is that all he said? Naruto asked. Yes, I don't know if he was lying or not. But it would make sense that we had a traitor. There have been too many things to point out the fact. The mission where we lost Kenpachi should have been a real eye-opener. Esteth held anger in her tone as she spoke. When I find out who it is, they'll regret ever being born. Mother, has anyone new and suspicious popped up while we were gone? Well, there is Raiga Kurosaki. I am still a little suspicious of him. But the only problem stopping me from going any further is... He's Bunton's father. I understand why you would be hesitant. Naruto looked down regretfully. Bunton was a dear friend of his, but her father had to be checked out. We need to place him in a genjutsu. Force the truth out of him. The words came out sharp, like a dagger being sharpened. That's what I was thinking, but he's been staying away from us as much as he could. To the point where it feels forced at this point, like he's wary of us. Naori informed her son, who was deep in thought. Did he seem shocked when he saw you or the clan? Naruto questioned deathly. Naori gasped and recoiled. No, he didn't. That's when they heard Jinkasu draw his sword with the sound of a sharp shing. There is nothing left to say. Hold on, brother Jinkasu, we can't just up and kill him like that. It will cause panic and distress. Placing him under a genjutsu and forcing the information out of him is the most effective way to handle this. Naruto's statement served to halt Jinkasu in his steps. Sorry, didn't mean to act without thought, just lost my cool for a second. Jinkasu pushed his weapon back into its blue sheath and sat down. It's alright, I'm feeling a bit antsy too. Naruto said, giving a reassuring nod. Hold on, Naruto, that's your friend's dad you're talking about. Naori pulled Naruto back to an important factor he missed. I know, but I can't allow my emotions to get in the way of something so important. Naruto spoke in a tone void of human feelings, causing his mother to worry about his mental health. Bunton is smart and mature enough to know what something like this means. He's right, Naori-sama. If we allowed our feelings to get in the way of something like this, it could result in the death of us all. Placing Raiga in a genjutsu is the best choice of action. Esteth agreed with Naruto on this. Although the girl may hate them, she will still be alive in the end. I know what you are saying is true, I just hate making decisions like this, but I know I must. Naori said resolutely, resolving herself to bear the young girl's hatred in the end. Southwest, when shall we place him in a genjutsu? And who's going to do it? Jinkasu asked in his plastic white chair sitting against the wall. Shursui-kun can do it, he has the best genjutsu abilities out of all of us in the Uchiha. Naori declared. TCH, subpar at best. Naruto grumbled to the side. Ah! No way that Goof is the best genjutsu user y'all have. Esteth mocked from her bed. Naori placed a hand to her mouth to muffle her laugh. You all underestimate Shursui-kun's power. It was he who made Ao retreat those years ago. He is also the strongest member of the clan behind me. Shursui is feared by shinobi all over the world for his fearsome capabilities with the Sharingan. Humph, came the reply from both Naruto and Esteth. They noticed how both gave the same response and glared at each other. Now I must leave this place and walk the streets. Naruto said, trying to leave the bed, but was pushed back down by his mother. No, the medical nurse said you can't leave yet. But the people need to see I am alive, it will serve to boost morale when they notice I am alive and well. Think how hyped the troops will be when they see me. Naruto gave a compelling argument, like he always did. Naori didn't want Naruto out yet for her own reason of wanting to come and rest up with Naruto. But he made a good point. No, you can't leave. But why not? Because I said so. Anne, you're grounded. What, you can't ground a shinobi, I have to go on missions and fight. Naruto protested with a slack jaw. So, I am your mother first, and whatever I say, happens. Naori said with crossed arms and a nod of her head. Naruto didn't like it, so he came up with an idea. He activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Which his mother took notice of. You better not. Wordlessly, before Naori could grab onto him and halt what he was doing, Naruto used Kamui and sank through the room. Naori's brow twitched and she clenched her fist. That naughty child. She got up and disappeared from the room. Jinkasu laughed with a warm smile. I'm glad she is doing much better now, it was sad to see her in so much pain. But that's over now, I can feel it. The tides are changing and victory approaches ever slowly. What are you, a public speaker now? Esteth asked, bored. No, I'm just happy for once. With that being said, he left without a sound. Naruto appears inside of the Uchiha grounds where he is quickly spotted by the others. Young master, you're alive. Naruto couldn't help the smile cross his face as he was greeted by those he loved. Yes, I am doing well. As they all held smiles and walked with him to his makeshift home. A small shack really with just enough space for him and his mom. It was better than sleeping on the ground in a tent at least. Moving to a box in the corner that had his clothes, he opened it and pulled out what he wanted to wear. Naruto quickly took off the hospital gown, leaving him in just his undergarments, allowing his lean physique to show, and it was impressive for such a young age. Pulling up his black pants and sliding into his ninja sandals that featured white leg warmers on his sandals. Covering his black shirt that clung to his skin was a gray Uchiha top with the fan symbol on the back. Completing the outfit was a black obi and gloves, but something was missing from his person. He could feel it. Leaned up against the wall was the black pole he crafted. The shiny black metal was giving off a slight pulse of chakra and seemed to be calling out to him. What's this feeling? Naruto walked over and collected the staff, which stopped its pulsating hum and settled in his hand. Naruto spun the staff around a couple of times to get back into things again. The staff hummed in his hand again, but this time it felt happy and satisfied. Happy to see me, girl. Naruto held it in a strong grip where it fit perfectly. I should finish this weapon before it's too late. Placing his finger in a cross, 5 puffs of smoke came out and revealed 5 copies of himself. Strange, I only meant to make 1. Has my chakra increased this much? I will have to place effort into controlling my chakra again. 4 were dispelled and left only 1 remaining. Go to the shop and get my furnace ready, our ultimate masterpiece will soon be finished. The clone nodded and left in a body flicker. Now it's time to eat, but before Naruto could leave, the door to his shack was blasted open. Not panicking since he just felt the person's chakra, Naruto turned with a blank expression. Why must you always blow my door off its hinges? The girl standing there was a face he knew all too well. She seemed different though, that much could be said by the change in outfit and the bags under her eyes. Her outfit was a dark blue Uchiha top that was held closed by red bandages, which also served to hold her tanto. Gray skin-tight shorts reached to the middle of her thighs. On the left thigh was a kunai pouch holding her ninja tools. Hikef sandals covered in dried blood, much like the rest of her outfit, served to paint an image. Just got back from a successful mission, I see. Good job, Meera. Myra's lip trembled and the back of her throat began to burn as her vision began to swim. She then slowly walked closer to Naruto as her body trembled. Brother, she spoke finally, voice about to crumble down like a damaged building.
Naruto-kun.
She said his name this time as her dirt-covered hands landed on his chest. Naru, are you really here right now? Her red cheeks and watery eyes looked at his own black orbs. I have always been here. Right here. Naruto used his finger to poke Meera in the chest, right where her heart would be. Meera shook her head. No, that wasn't enough. I need to see you. She hugged him tight. Like I can now. Before the girl could break down in tears, Naruto cupped her face. So many tears today, there is no need for tears. Naruto wiped the waterworks away. I've missed you, Naruto-kun, so much that it hurt. Meera rubbed her face onto Naruto's chest as she smiled. I even awakened my Mangekyo Sharingan just like Brother Jean. I had begun to hate and despair. I didn't like it, but there was nothing I could do to stop it. Naruto frowned as he listened to Meera's words. You don't have to hate or despair. Don't fall into hatred. You've got to beat it. I think I did. Because the counter to hate is love. It was the love for my family keeping me going. And my love for you. Meera stopped and looked up at Naruto with honest and true heartfelt love in her eyes. Naruto-kun, I've felt this way for a long time and I know it may be too soon to say this, but I love you. Meera. That was all Naruto could say. He was shocked and felt happy but also sad at the same time. He looked away and closed his eyes. Meera noticed and ducked her head. I know this is sudden, I figured you wouldn't feel the same since you never really showed interest in me like that. I shouldn't have said anything. She turned to walk away but stopped when Naruto held her hand. But she didn't look back, choosing to face the door. No, it's just that. Now, I can't afford these kinds of feelings. Naruto's voice came out frail and resentful. Meera had been his childhood friend, his best friend. Ever since they were kids and played, or more like Meera dragging him around and doing the most reckless of things. Naruto wasn't sure when it started, but the feelings he started to develop for the young girl. It came as a surprise to him as well. When she would give him that big goofy smile, it caused him to smile as well. Or her obnoxious as she would conquer some new challenge and brag to him about it. Her personality, she never let anything stop her and always found a way to overcome diversity. Never letting anything slow her down. It was something he admired about her. Loved it even, maybe that's why he stuck around with Meera. No matter what, she could always keep up with him. We have responsibilities right now that we must put first. But if it makes you feel any better. Naruto pulled Meera back so they could look each other in the eyes. I think I like you too, maybe even love. But we are too young to understand the weight of that word. But I do understand, I'm mature. I've changed. I know that what I feel for you is love. If you're mature, then you know we are at war. In the final stages of it, in these critical moments, we can't afford to be sidetracked. Naruto gave a frozen smile that seemed more apathetic. It's because we are at war. When I thought you died, a part of me died as well. I thought I could never tell you how I felt. So in case I never get to tell you again, I want you to know how I feel. Meera smiled as she embraced in a soft gentle hug. I'm not asking for a relationship or anything like that. I just want you to know. Naruto hugged the girl back as they stood in each other's embrace. Let's make a promise. A promise to see this war to the end, and when it's all over, we can try to make something of these feelings we have for each other. I promise to see it to the end. As the two kids of war shared their moment, Shisui leaned against the wall with a smile on his face. Naruto didn't seem to notice as Shisui had his chakra suppressed. I'm glad they were able to talk this out. Now little sis shouldn't struggle with this curse any longer, and instead, turn it into a gift. Since that's what the Mangekyo Sharingan is. The teen then left like he was never there. But can we go? I'm hungry. Naruto said, breaking the silence. Meera brightened and gave him a beaming smile as her pitch-black eyes sparkled with light. Golden chicken. Fine. Naruto sighed as Meera pulled him along by the hand. Instead of pulling his hand loose, he'd play along this time. He locked their finger together, causing Meera to look at him with shock before she blushed and smiled. The two walked hand in hand to Meera's favorite restaurant. Walking the streets, people saw Naruto in good health and just fine. Just like he predicted, everyone began to smile with happiness and the morale began to rise. A familiar face dropped in front of the two. But the other ugly face, Naruto had never seen before but knew who it was right away. He slowly moved a hand behind him just in case. Raiga and Bunten. But it was strange. Raiga looked at him with shock and disbelief like he had seen a ghost from his past. That proves it, he knows who I am. He must have been told where I was. But seeing me now must be a real shock. Naruto thought. It was all settled and a plan was set in motion. Naruto. You're alive. Bunten ran forward and gave Naruto a bone-crushing hug. I'm so glad you're okay. She said with a smile of relief. Before it turned into a snarl. Bastard. She punched him in the gut, which Naruto knew was coming. That punch hurt. This girl had gotten stronger. What was that for? You gorilla. What did you call me? Bunten yelled over Naruto with yellow lighting sparking around the girl. I see you doing fine. Naruto looked up toward Bunten and pointed a finger in Raiga's direction. Who is this? Naruto noticed Raiga look away from his eyes. A useless effort. Meet me in the center of the camp later tonight. Naruto gave a command to Raiga mentally. Raiga nodded dumbly with a dazed look in his eyes. With a single finger, Naruto had placed the men in a genjutsu. With his vast amount of chakra, something as easy could easily be achieved by disrupting the other man's chakra network with his greater amount. But he couldn't do anything crazy since his chakra control was a little bit off the rails, but it was good for this situation. Oh, I made you something. Bunten's cheeks turned a healthy shade of red as she dug into the bag on her back. Her red clothes were a little dirty, so she must have returned from a mission. Why, you better be grateful, I idiot. Bunten pulled out a small object, a soft doll that looked like him. Thank you. Naruto reached out and accepted the gift with a suspicious voice and gaze. Now that he was holding the soft doll, it looked just like him. It had the same color hair as he did with little red eyes for the Sharingan. It wore the black clothes he did and everything else. It was a mirror image of him. But there was one thing he didn't like about it. That goofy smile. He didn't smile like that. But other than that, it was a well-made doll. Naruto had to let Bunten know that. I didn't think someone like you was capable of such a soft and gentle act. Is that supposed to be a compliment? The girl asked. It is. Gosh. That is the cutest thing. With little stars in her eyes, Meera took the doll away from Naruto and cuddled up against it. Bunten-chan, you have to make me one. It's going to cost you. Bunten said, rubbing her hands together with a sharp grin. What? Meera recoiled with a sharp gasp. Before getting close and hugging Bunten. I'll pay you with our friendship. That's not gonna get me anything. Bunten yelled and with effort, pushed away a struggling Meera. Well, we need to go home and rest up. Raiga urged as he moved Bunten along. See you around. He waved over his shoulder. Bye guys. Bunten waved as she walked away with her dad. But she turned to see her dad shaking and sweat coming down his brow. Dad, what's wrong with you? You look like you're about to fall over and die. Raiga took a look at his shaking hand. He felt confused. During this whole conversation, a part of him just blinked out. As if his mind wasn't his own. He quickly checked to see if his chakra was out of control. He did just come into an encounter with two Uchihas, which he had been making a great effort to stay away from them. However, Raiga had no idea that his fate was already sealed and placed on hold. His time was soon to come and the clock slowly ticked as time moved. Don't worry about little one, I'm fine. Raiga ruffled her hair. I'm just a little bit more injured than I thought. The two kids watched as the father and daughter walked away. But Meera was able to notice something. That Raiga guy, he seems fishy to me. He's been avoiding me and the clan since he got here. That's when Meera's eyes narrowed into a sharp glare that signaled chaos. I think he's a spy, it's just a pity he's Bunten-chan's father. Yeah, what a pity. Naruto stared at the retreating back of Raiga with his own death glare like Meera. Welp, I'm hungry. Let's go eat. Meera said as if she was not just talking about something really important. She grabbed Naruto's hand and locked fingers again with a cute blush. But that mood was over, and Naruto was not about to hold her hand again. So he shook his hand from Meera's grasp, causing the girl to pout. It sure is taking a while, I know my genjutsu is unbreakable for the likes of him. Naruto quietly spoke sitting up in a tree. That's why you should have let me do it, where there would be no doubt. Shisui whispered next to him. It's fine, as long as he shows up. Naori, but into the conversation. Until she looked off into the distance. I sense him coming. Naori and Shisui fell silent as Naruto dropped from the tree. What his mother sensed was correct after all. Walking towards him with a blank gaze under the light of the moon was Raiga. Scum. Naruto mentally spat with disgust and hatred in his mind. I hate traitors. Naruto held up a half-ram sign and released the genjutsu golding the men. Wah. Where am I? Raiga looked around quickly. Taking in the unfamiliar surroundings served as a shock to his system. That is when his eyes landed on Naruto in front of him. You placed me under genjutsu. Didn't you? Naruto looked at the men with a placid expression. I did, and you were powerless to stop it. Naruto's answer made Raiga grit his teeth together and veins to bulge. As the men looked ready to burst into anger. You filthy, bloodline-using piece of shit. Raiga pulled a kunai from his back weapon pouch. I'm going to bury you alive. With lighting enhancing his speed to move faster than the human I could track, he rushed forward. He's so slow, I could actually run laps around him. And so, taking this chance to test out his power. Naruto literally began to run circles around the piece of shit father. 1, 2, 3, heart, lungs, head, I could kill this worm if I wanted to. Raiga didn't even notice that Naruto had run around him a total of 6 times already. But Naruto stopped and stood back in his position. He's gotten faster. Shisui said smiling. But how? He was locked up for 2 weeks. Not to mention how bigger he looks, even his chakra became more potent and large. I'll tell you all about it later. Naori's eyes gleamed with happiness. Now, go do what you came here for. Right. Shisui dropped to the ground and as soon as his feet touched the grass, he was gone. He moved at high subsonic speeds to not be seen. Shisui even moved faster than Naruto and Raiga could see, leaving only Naori to follow his movements. Shisui grabbed Raiga by the throat and now entered Naruto and Raiga's vision. What incredible speed, I didn't see him move. Naruto had to give props to Shisui, maybe he underestimated him a tiny bit. Now, you're going to tell us everything you know. Shisui's voice came out in a dark tone Naruto had never really heard from the kind boy. It was a reminder to him that Shisui was still an ANBU and still a powerful Uchiha. "I'll never tell you anything." Raiga said what he could in the hold of Shisui. That's when he was lifted off the ground and held in the air choking, and all he could do was look into the hypnotizing eyes of Shisui. "And no, not Aagin, and not to these bit." "Alright, now what do we ask first?"
Naori-sama.
Shisui let the men drop like a dirty rag. "Good job Shisui-kun, and great speed Naru." Naori complimented the two boys on a good job as she walked toward them. "And as for what we need." Naori's voice went from soft to hard in a heartbeat. "Everything." "Okay then, we'll get the obvious question out first." Shisui turned to face the dazed Raiga. "Are you a spy for Yagura?" "Yes." Raiga drowned out. "As expected," Naori said. Though she knew Raiga was a spy, it always felt better to hear it come from the person's mouth. "Was the story you told us a lie?" Shisui asked. "Yes." "What did you lie about?" "The part where I escaped because of your battle. I had never been caught in the first place. I was trying to kill Zabuza for attempting to assassinate the Mizukage." Raiga informed truthfully and robotically. "Zabuza, that man was too hasty. A lot of this is his fault." Naori scowled. Zabuza Momochi, a high-ranking jounin before he went rogue after trying to eliminate the fourth Mizukage. But Zabuza was no regular shinobi, he was a holder of one of the legendary swords of the mist, which made him a member of the Seven. Next to Amuri and the others. Zabuza was famous in the Bloody Mist for killing a whole class of training shinobi. And he wasn't even a shinobi with any up-and-coming training. He often enjoyed killing a little too much and volunteered for a mission involving assassination or straight slaughter. This earned him the nickname of Demon of the Mist. I think Mei said something about him before, but I can't remember. Naruto said with a finger to his chin. Yes, she mentioned he wanted to be Mizukage and save the nation from dying. Naori answered the question. But that's off topic, let's get back to asking more questions. What all have you told Yagura? Naruto asked a very tense and serious question that made all of their stomachs turn. I told him about the mission on Shigakure Island, I told him about Thriller Grand, I've been telling him where the supply chains are, who to target, and even this very base. If they weren't surprised before, they were now. Raiga had told Yagura their main base. For all they know, Yagura could be here any second to wipe us all off the map. In a flash, Naori withdrew her blade and almost cut off the man's head. But she stopped at the last second. Damn it. She pulled back her sword. Naori gnashed her teeth together as the situation quickly became critical. We've got to speed things up, no longer can we wait. We must attack first. Naruto strongly spoke, but he frowned. This was not good at all. What a nightmare. Shisui ran his hand down his face with exaggeration. That's all we needed. Send him home, but don't dispel the genjutsu from him. Keep it as a failsafe, well expose him in front of everyone in the near future. Naori ordered Shisui to turn the genjutsu into a dormant genjutsu. For someone of Shisui's level, it was child's play. Roger. Shisui did as told and performed the genjutsu. Raiga began to leave unaware of what he had just told them. Come on, let's go, you said there was something you wanted to tell the clan, right? Naori pulled Naruto close and began to walk back to the quarry. Yes, I meet our goddess. Naori giggled cutely. That must have been some good sleep. As all the Uchiha gathered around a campfire looking at Naruto, who was preparing to tell them important news. And by the smile on his face, it appeared Naruto was eager to tell. The floor is yours, son. Naori gestured for Naruto to go as she sat down on a log. Naruto nodded. I am sure you all know about how we prayed to the Naka shrine. They all nodded in the affirmative. Well, our prayers were heard and answered by our goddess, Sengen-sama, Sakuyaheim, or Blooming Princess. Everyone looked at him and blinked olishly. They looked at him like he was crazy or something. That would be everyone except for Meera, whose eyes were wide. Wait, did you say Sengen? Meera stood up from her seat next to Hikawa, who was laid out across Jinkisu's lap. Naruto smiled. Did Meera already know of her? Yes, Sengen-sama has been watching over us since the very beginning. She is the one who gifted us the Sharingan and gives us our Mangekyo abilities. That is some craziness. Hikawa said, lying across Jinkisu's lap. With a twitching eyebrow. Jinkisu asked her a question. Why are you in my lap? I am not a chair. She chose not to answer and paid closer attention to Naruto. Meera moved to Naruto with an expression of confusion. Do you mean we have a god? Yes. Meera looked hesitant about something and sought comfort in her brother Shisui, who tossed her a thumbs up. Which meant it was okay to reveal her new power. Naruto-kun, I have something to show you. Meera then looked Naruto in the eyes and began to send chakra to her eyes. Meera's eyes changed into their advanced state. Meera had 8 small triangles surrounding her black pupil, which gave the effect of an incomplete star. You and brother Jinkasu both, huh? Yup. Jinkasu flashed his own swirling eyes of chaos at Naruto. Yes, we awakened them when we thought you had died. Meera's voice dropped and she looked away in sadness. I'm sorry for that. Really? I'll be sure it won't happen again. Naruto apologized. You better. You scared us half to death. Hikawa shouted in anger. Naruto chuckled. I'm sorry, sister, it won't happen again. Better not. But what do you want to show me? Naruto turned towards Meera again. My ability, it's called Sengen. Meera held up her hand and a brilliant red flame roared to life. Naruto's eyes went wide as he looked at the red flame that possessed an oppressive heat that even the Uchiha sitting down could see. Against his will, Naruto activated his own Mangekyo Sharingan. His was still the same hollow 3-pointed pinwheel with a black pupil in the middle of the small hole. A familiar tingle ran through Naruto's eyes and he scanned the red fire in Meera's hand, taking in every little detail. How much chakra it took, how fast it could activate, what chakra points does it extend from, and how to make it better. That's when Naruto held up his hand and to everyone's shock, red fire much like Meera's sprung on his hand, but it seemed to be more dense and powerful than the original. A pregnant pause covered the camp so much that even the crickets didn't chirp. They all just looked at the 2 young Uchiha in bewilderment. How interesting, Naruto said. He began to play around with the fire as he changed its shape of it, making it into a small sphere, a sword, or even stretching the flame. What? How did you do that? You can't just copy my power. Meera pointed a finger at Naruto. Is this what you meant?
Sengen-sama?
Naruto let the flame dispel. And turned towards the crowd. Take my words to heart, for our goddess watches over us. This flame is a representation of her will. Now the boys' words had merit and they'd be sure to take in what they had learned today. But one thing was clear. Naruto Uchiha indeed was amazing. Your son is a cheat code, Naori. Korrigan whispered with a fanged grin. I wonder if he can even copy your ability, I suppose there is only one way to find out, right? Meera grinned back before she got up and walked over to her son. Let's test this out, see if you can copy even my ability. She sent him a wink. The inverted flower petal spun to life in Naori's eye as the shadow beneath her feet widened. Jumping from the shadow was a replica of Naori except for 2 horns made from wind on their forehead. The same process that happened with Meera happened again and Naruto ended up copying his mother's ability. All it took was one glance and a second to have the layout memorized and the technique was his. Naruto's ability to copy other Mangekyo abilities was something that happened on its own. Even without him doing it. This ability was called Sveznalika. Jumping from Naruto's expanded shadow below his feet was a clone of the boy. The difference being his horns were even different from his mother's. These horns were not big or small, just a medium size. They came from the side of his head just above his ears. They resembled the horns of a water buffalo in their shape but not size. The horns were made from orange fire that blazed on Naruto's head. How interesting. This clone of mine seems to have the same strength as me. I guess these clones are different from the shadow clones. That is very interesting. Naori came and poked the Naruto. She noticed that this fire clone had Naruto Mangekyo pattern in its eye just like her clones would have her own. That's not fair. He can have everyone's abilities. Meera said in shocked outrage. That's when she leaped into Shisue's arms crying fake tears. Brother. You have to do something, even his fire was better than mine. She whined into Shisue's chest. Come on, stop overreacting, sis. Shisui patted Meera's back comforting. As I said, it was a gift, and I finally realize it now. The curse of hatred. As soon as Naruto said that, all the Uchiha frowned at the sour subject, giving off dissatisfied grunts. It was a challenge to see if we were truly worthy of the power we received in return. You must first defeat the enemy, which is yourself, before hoping to defeat others. Naruto said. I know what I am saying may seem a little crazy, And even I am still a little freaked that this is real, but just listen as I only speak the truth, just like I always have. Now Naruto was finished and all the Uchihas had to take in the words of their clan heir. For some reason, they all felt stronger as their bonds with each other seemed to increase and the love they all shared radiated the darkness in their hearts, like a lighthouse shining its piercing light through the dark, saving all those it captured with its loving light. Had the time they spent murdering each other for power all worthless? Killing their closest friends for something that wasn't even guaranteed really worth it in the end? Some felt guilty leaving the scene and went into their tents to continue praying like they had been doing throughout the years. There was no shrine for them to pray to, but even still it felt as if their prayers were being answered. Naruto lay resting in a blue shirt underneath the covers of his bed. What a crazy day. He held up his hand to his ceiling as he flexed his hands a couple of times. I've got to get back to training tomorrow and get back into shape. To not be a burden or allow any more of his comrades to die, Naruto had to become stronger. And no longer having to deal with the curse of hatred diluting his thoughts anymore, he was in a way, free. That is when his door opened and Naruto turned to see his mother in a long purple nightgown. Hey son. Naori walked over to Naruto's bedside. Just come to tell you good night. She leaned down and kissed Naruto's forehead before in an obvious act of falling over. She landed next to him under the covers smiling as if nothing had happened. Mother, why are you in my bed? Naruto asked with a twitching eyebrow. And I know you tripped on purpose. Naori only gave him an eye smile. I don't know what you are talking about. Humph. Naori then pulled Naruto close to her as she rested her head atop of his with a soft smile. I just want to sleep with you tonight. Where I know you will be safe and secure, in my loving arms. Naruto didn't reply as he simply rested in his mother's embrace, which allowed him to sleep peacefully. Which was much needed since it had been 2 weeks since he had gotten a good sleep. And now, he couldn't think of any better place to be. 2 days later. Forging warehouse. Naruto stood in a white undershirt that clung to his skin from the sweat running down his body. He had on a visor and a dirty apron to keep him safe from the sparks. His hands were in gloves as he held a big hammer in his right hand. The fire in his furnace was a brilliant crimson red from Sengen that sounded like a beast as it roared. Naruto held big steel pliers in his hand that was used for crafting. Pulling out a burning slab, Naruto quickly sat it on an anvil. He quickly got to hammering away at it, trying to thin out the black shining metallic metal. Naruto had been doing this for about 30 minutes now, as had been trying to make the perfect shape. But now it seemed to be perfect. So Naruto set the metal in water as it sizzled and popped from the heat. This is what Naruto had been doing all morning. He was making the perfect weapon that could cut down anyone that stood before him. In a process of shaping the metal, cooling it down, and some more banging here and there, Naruto finally had what he wanted. With his gloved hands, Naruto held up the piece of sharp metal. The blade reached 14 inches long and at a mere touch could draw blood. The coating clay Naruto used was a smooth gray that was dark at the top and slowly faded into a much lighter shade of gray that resembled clouds filled with rain ready to fall. Now all that's is to connect the two. With that said, Naruto went on to connect the two pieces using the knowledge he'd gained from trial and error. With intense focus, Naruto connected the two pieces carefully to not mess anything up. And in the end, it came out just the way he wanted it to. Smiling the entire time, Naruto held up the newly forged scythe. It possessed the same now black scales of same hata that formed into a long staff that had a chain attached towards the bottom of it. This chain would be used to attach the gunbai or any other weapon he wanted. The part meant for killing was perfect. Sharp, curved, unique, and sturdy. Finally, you are complete. My masterpiece. A weapon unmatched and peerless. You are no normal scythe, or weapon, as even the 7 ninja swordsman's blades pale in comparison to you. Naruto could feel the weapon vibrate in his hand with what felt like excitement. He was excited too. Safuyu shall be your name. Imbuing Safuyu with chakra, it hummed and shifted colors as the chakra lit up his work area, drawing all the others' attention who were working in the forge. Thank you, master. Naruto blinked as the feminine voice came to his mind like a whisper. Naruto looked over at everyone staring at him with wide eyes. He checked to see if any women were in the forge, but found no one. How strange. Naruto said to himself, ignoring the gaping mouths of the other men in the forge. But now it was time to train with Safuyu and learn how to perform combos with it. As Naruto performed cuts, stabs, and swings with Safuyu, he held a smile the whole time. This was great, the weapon was performing perfectly. It was balanced, never slipped from his hands, and didn't strain under the now increased strain of his chakra. Sending lightning chakra to the weapon, Naruto sent arcs of purple lighting toward a field of trees that cut them all down upon contact. So interesting, it amplifies my chakra as I send into it. Smirking at the weapon, Naruto couldn't help but give praise to it. Safuyu, truly amazing. What else can you do? Naruto performed a sign for the shadow clone jutsu. And a clone popped into existence next to him. Fire a jutsu at me. I wish to test if it can absorb it like the original Samehada. Naruto ordered the clone and took positions. A giant fireball came hurtling at him, burning the ground black as it carved a path toward him. Naruto spun the scythe in a blatant show of skill and performed a clean cut down the center of the fireball. Instead of taking in the chakra, Safuyu turned the fire chakra into small blue particles that floated around the area. Naruto could sense what had happened. Instead of absorbing, Safuyu performed the opposite and negated the chakra with her own, canceling it out in a way that will come in handy for the future. Naruto let the clone dispel as he got an idea. One last test, I hope you're up for it. Naruto shifted into a stance where he performed a cut in an instant. Eternal rest, grave marker. The long and furious swings of Naruto's scythe were incredible as his arms moved so fast, you wouldn't even be able to see them. Even a fully grown Sharingan would have trouble keeping pace with his arms. As the attack neared its end and the swings came to a stop, Naruto felt he could keep going, so he did. Creating a second act on the spot. Second act, Tombstone. Naruto spun the scythe in a circular motion around himself, basically trapping himself in a cutting circle. His hands and wrists spun perfectly with each other to keep Safuyu in his grasp as the attack came out flawlessly. Naruto stopped and exhaled. He looked to see if the weapon showed any signs of strain or was about to break. No sings. Naruto walked over and sat down on a log, reflecting on everything he had learned. He took a sip from his water flask and rested Safuyu in his lap. These past few days have been something else. He discovered a goddess was watching over his clan, Meera was in love with him, Bunton's father was a traitor, and he finally knew the name of his own Mangekyo Sharingan. What he thought was Kamui was just a fake. The real name of his Mankyo ability was called Svesnalika. No Alha. Quite fitting, dare I say. But that was furthest from the truth. I know nothing. Naruto said the words that sat deep within his heart. For when you know nothing, there is the possibility of knowing everything. Are you sure? Naori's voice came out stern. What you say is the hard truth. Bowing in front of her was a ninja. Yes, everything is ready and we can now capitalize on Shiogakure Island. Our forces are very high, morale high, while the enemy has been goofing off on that island for months now. If we attack now, they won't stand a chance. They have gotten cocky, thinking we are already beaten. Naori cracked her fingers in irritation. While it is true our numbers have increased, this is still risky in the fact that Shiogakure Island is the most guarded and is hard to enter. That's why I think we should just attack it head first. Mei gave her input from the side. It's an island enclosed inside a barrier of high cliffs. You might be right about that. Naori sighed sadly at Mei's answer. In truth, she had been thinking the same way. Maybe instead of trying to sneak in, we just launch an all-out attack. Naori then turned to the soldier below her. If what you say is correct, they will never suspect us of doing something so reckless. If anything, their troops should be starving, we have been cutting off their supply chains for half a year now. Mei gave key information that sparked a flame of confidence inside Naori. Naori brightens at the statement. You're right, this should be an easy conquest. Naori then stood from her seat. Gather up our forces, I want 700 able shinobi ready to leave. Mei, go get Haribel, Isteth, and anyone else you think might help. I'll gather up the Uchiha. Roger. The two nodded before vanishing from view. Whoa, seriously? Meera asked in shock. Yes, it's time to prepare because we will be moving out. Shursue told his little sister. About time, I've been itching to kill somebody. Higgins said, flexing his hands and grinning. They're not ready for the slaughter about to commence. Haikawa had a devilish grin that matched her father's. This battle was going to be brutal, bloody, and hellish. She was going to love it. Brother Jean, you've got your hands full with that family. Meera nervously stepped back and looked at Jinkasu. Bro. Jinkasu was radiating chakra from his body as he slowly began to withdraw Summer Queen. A slaughter shall commence. I think he's already been corrupted. Meera then looked towards Naruto, who was checking to see if he had everything. Meera, come here. Naruto said, causing the girl to walk closer to him. What is it? Good luck, smooch. She blinked her long and curved eyelashes at him with a cute blush. Here. Put this on. Naruto held out Uchiha-styled armor to the girl. I noticed your was damaged, so I fixed it for you. Meera held the armor and gave a once-over. It was light gray and contained a chest piece, and 2 plates on her waist. Thanks, I'll feel more protected now. She earned a nod from Naruto. Glad you like it. In the future, I'll make you a better dagger as well. Instead of using that tanto. Meera gave a soft smile. It's fine, you don't have to do all that for me. This is special. Holding the plain black tanto in her hands, almost caressing it. Meera smiled. I'm glad you do all that for me, but really. It's fine. Whatever you say, I'll do it anyway. It was clear Naruto wasn't going to budge on the matter, and Meera just bumped his chest with her fist. Your mom was right, you are hard-headed. Get a room, you two. Hikawa teased the two with a grin matching a Cheshire cat. Sister. Shut up. Meera yelled with a full-on atomic blush. Anyways, let's go. I am sure everyone is ready. Naruto ordered, and they all filed out to the main entrance of the camp. Naruto, Meera, Shisui, and Jinkasa sat on a rocky ledge that was 87 meters high off the ground. Beneath the cliff was a large body of water. Resting in this large lake was an island with a big prison and a small town located. The prison was on the west of the island where their captured soldiers were kept. This is also where most of their island was stationed. While he and the 150 shinobi would attack the town. Their captain was Harabelle, and she was wearing a white crop top held closed by 4 golden buttons. Her bottoms were also white hakama pants that left the sides her slim waist exposed, showing her olive-colored skin. Her footwear was black Zora sandals that were hard to the touch. We wait for the others to give the signal and then we flank. So prepare and double-check that you have everything. Harabelle stood next to Shisui and folded her arms underneath her breast, causing a slight bounce, which Shisui took notice of. And Naruto, do you have a minute? Naruto turned to see Chojuro fidgeting as he asked him a question. Yes, what do you need? Chojuro took a moment and collected himself. I just want to say I'm glad you're okay. I will fight with all I have to win this. Naruto was surprised at first, since Chojuro didn't stutter and said that whole thing while looking at him in the eyes. But he then gave Chojuro a firm nod while his lips turned into a smirk. I appreciate the concern, and we will win today. Naruto turned and looked out toward a section of the town down below. No matter how challenging it may be, a certain person's chakra could be felt from his location. Squinting her grassy green eyes, Harabelle saw the signal. And that signal was the other side jumping off the cliff and launching jutsu toward the prison. What looked to be a dragon made from ice carried a bunch of the soldiers down and protected others with its giant wings. A clear sign of Estheth using her bloodline. Whoa, Estheth-sensei is awesome. Tsunagi said, smiling. I wonder when she will teach me that. Tsunagi was still wearing the white militaristic outfit that looked like Estheth, but he had fur covering his collar and lining on his chest unlike hers. Ready everyone, our window of opportunity is coming. Yes, Captain. Meera stood with a dark grin and spun her tanto around in her hand. When do we go? Naruto asked. When the town starts to panic and sound the alarms. Watch as they flee to the other side in responding aid to their allies. Harabelle answers the question, hiding a smirk behind her high collar. Outstanding, who came up with such a great plan? This time it was Mei-sama, one of her best I must say. Harabelle respectfully answered Naruto. As Harabelle herself held Mei in high regard since at first, Mei was the one leading the rebels into victory while also being an outstanding leader. Harabelle cherished the bonds they had. Everyone let's go. She was the first to jump. Meera, copy my hand signs. Naruto quickly told the girl next to him before jumping off in a flip. Falling, the wind pushed up their hair and the sound was deafening as they would have to yell to hear one another. Meera did as instructed and performed the same jutsu Naruto did. Fire release, great flame flower. The two expelled multiple fireballs with a vengeance. Do it again, Meera, but this time. Naruto activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Add a little red to the painting. Meera caught on quickly and sped through the same hand signs. Sengen great flame flower. Following the orange fireballs, were bigger, better, and stronger red fireballs. Nice teamwork. Shisui gave a grin and thumbs up. Tsunagi, amp the fire with a wind jutsu. Tsunagi was falling upside down with a grin. Aye, Captain. Tsunagi then proceeded to use a wind jutsu. Wind push. The already pretty large fireballs were then made bigger and rushed forward faster until... boom. The attacks landed inside the town and caused mass destruction as a majority of the town was destroyed by that one attack. Sengen began to spread around the town and would continue to burn for a total of 5 days unless Meera or Naruto said otherwise. Many ninjas screamed as they were burned to death by the flames or were cut down by the ninja that landed. It was now an all-out attack by the rebels as they defeated enemy after enemy. Should have watched your rear. Jinkasu drew Summer Queen and arched it through the air, sending a moving crescent of chakra to kill 10 ninjas in front of him at the same time. He blocked an oncoming attack from an enemy shinobi as did a stab to the man's heart. Bumping on the end of Jinkasu's blade was the man's heart slowly stopped beating. Sheesh, never did that before. You guys handle things over here, I'll be going to settle some things. Naruto told Jinkasu and the boy nodded. He spun and sliced a man in half with Safuyu, causing blood and guts to spill. The ease at which the weapon sliced everyone around him in half was truly something to cringe at. As it cut through muscle tissue, skin, and bone as if it was a kunai cutting wet paper. As Naruto was about to jump off, his hand was grabbed and he turned to see Meera giving him a serious stare. Naruto-kun, remember our promise. Stepping blade. Jinkasu covered the romantic moment in the background by using one of his sword techniques. Naruto held Meera's hand in his own as he returned her serious look with his own. I will. And die. Jinkasu burnt a dozen plus loyalists to crisp with his fire jutsu covering the two once again. But after watching these two, Jinkasu felt something. Now I'm feeling motivated. Jinkasu raised his hand which contained a dense amount of chakra and brought it down like a hammer to the ground that shattered and blew to pieces from his devastating power. Leaving nothing standing in his wake as only dead bodies rested beneath his feet. The two held gazes with each other, letting the battle to temporarily cease to exist. I love you, Naruto-kun, and don't forget that. She then gently pushed Naruto away. Now get going. We will handle things here. Okay. Naruto said before he vanished in a flicker of fire. When Naruto appeared back into existence, he was standing on the water with a blank expression. Floating in the water as if waiting for him was Kagura. Kagura looked to the sky which began to fill with dark smoke. His ears took in the surrounding chaos, people screaming in pain or for help, shinobi launching jutsu, or the sound of crumbling buildings. It's time. A sad smile crossed his face before quickly whipping it away as he'd make sure. This battle would be the turning point in the war. The water underneath Kagura rippled and the next thing Naruto knew he had just blocked 4 attacks in a row. Placing his Senbai back down, Kagura was still lying down. You've gotten faster, that's the same attack I used on you 2 years ago. 7 Sword Demon, First Act. Kagura stood to his feet with a cheeky smile. I cut you up pretty well last time. Do you still have that scar? I know I still have mine. Kagura rubbed at the wound he suffered from their last battle. Comparing me to my past self is like comparing a mountain to a bump in the road. Naruto quickly unleashed 2 slashes toward Kagura who blocked with ease. But I see you've gotten stronger as well. Naruto said with a grin as he activated the Sharingan. And you taller, bigger. I can feel the increase in chakra. What did you do to yourself? Kagura took Hiramakari off his back and tossed it around in his right hand while Nuabari hung in his left. You can wield those things together. Impressive. It's really nothing, I have the potential to use all of them. We just don't have them all and the rest are worthless. Reminds me of someone. Bastard. The two blinked out of view and met in the middle. They danced in a Kenjutsu battle aiming to kill the other but no blows landed. Bouncing back, they rushed forward with great strength and power causing waves to rise underneath them. 7 Sword Demon, 5th Act. Phantom Mist. Naruto easily evaded the attack as he had to use his agility to avoid being pierced by Nuabari and his Ganabi to block Hiramakari. Naruto jumped over Kagura and moved forward aiming to cut open Kagura's back. That is when Naruto found his arm stuck and couldn't move. Sewing needle strikes. Kagura pulled the needle to him and caused the wire around Naruto to cut into his skin, drawing blood. Naruto flexed his muscles and tried to move, but found it only made things worse. Kagura moved to finish Naruto with a smirk, but he knew something had to be up, no way Naruto would easily fall into this trap. As he got close, Naruto puffed out of existence blinding his vision for the time being. Naruto came from the sky with Safuyu covered in lighting. Kagura's eyes flashed in surprise as he narrowly dodged. Running away. Naruto taunted with a smirk. TCH, cocky as always. Kagura chuckled with a smile. But I knew something so simple wasn't going to work on you. But he noticed something about Naruto. Nothing will. Kagura heard Naruto behind him, causing his heart to skip a beat. He performed a swing with Hiramakari, but missed, and cut nothing but the air. Too slow. Naruto was crouched but rose up with an uppercut, rocking Kagura's jaw and sending him sprawling on the lake. First blood again. You're not too good at this fighting stuff, are you? He sure is enjoying himself, isn't he? Kagura held humor inside his mind. Whatever. Spinning through hand signs, Kagura launched his next jutsu toward Naruto. Water style, dancing dragon heads. Dragon heads lifted from the water with eyes of a burning red. They spun toward Naruto with unblockable force. Let's show him, Safuyu. Naruto with one swing, cut all the dragon's head in bits as they dropped into small droplets of water. The chakra then went into Safuyu for storage in case needed in later battles. What was that? That's not a jutsu you can just cut. It looks like you just sent the chakra away. Not quite. I negated the chakra, brought it back to its base form, and took the chakra for myself. Naruto held an arrogant smirk the whole time he explained the premise of Safuyu to Kagura. It's with this weapon you see here I managed to do that. He twirled Safuyu around, giving Kagura a show of the new weapon. Is that the masterpiece you had been talking about, saying you'd make something superior to all weapons? Kagura said, locking blades with Naruto, as they flashed across the water in battle while having a conversation. Naruto cratered the area of impact as he landed sideways on the cliff in front of him. Correct, and I did what I said I would. From his vantage point, Naruto could see a good view of how things were going in the battle below. Esdeath ducked under a swipe of a blade as she quickly maneuvered around the blade swings. She was engaging in battle with Yuri-san, the general of this prison. As she spun around a wide swing from his long sword, Esdeath saw a window of opportunity and quickly took advantage. With her rapier, she lunged and stabbed the man in the shoulder and quickly sent a jab, launching the man back. Yuri-san wiped the blood from his lip and quickly stood to his feet. Bitch, you'll die for that. Esdeath held a devilish smile. Not by you or anyone else here, the gap in our power is too great. Esdeath then put up the ram hand sign with her grin increasing. And the gap only widens with this. A spike of her chakra, and Yuri-san's right shoulder began to freeze over as it traveled all the way down to his arm. Yuri-san began to panic as the ice crept up to his neck. What did you do? He screamed, only to be silenced once his other arm was cut off. I used a corroding jutsu of mine. Frostbite. I just need to hit you one time and your death is all but certain as the jutsu runs up your body. I wonder, how will you die first, by my blade or the ice taking over your body? Or me? Esdeath had to jump back as someone came crashing down. You damn shark hoe. That was my kill. Esdeath said in anger while her hand holding her rapier twitched. The smoke cleared, showing Harabel pulling her big sword from the dead Yuri-san. Well, we finished securing the captives and they are heading back to the camp. Now all that's left is to finish off the stragglers, right? Right. Ice bitch. Ice style, ice wall. A wall of ice rose and blocked water jutsu being launched at Tsunagi. The young boy then used the already wall to transform into his next jutsu. Ice style, bullet barrage. The wall fired many bullets of ice that began to pierce the enemy. That's impressive, you've been teaching him well. Harabel complimented. Humph, did you expect anything less from my clan? Esdeath turned her nose up with a cocky smile. Water style, water twister vortex. Using surrounding water, Meera sent the giant vortex to the enemy trying to run away. You won't kill me, devil. Water style, water wall. He shouted and a wall of water rose to protect him and his comrades. Too weak. Meera said before adding more chakra and overpowering the jutsu like it was nothing. Any you taught her that? Esdeath asked, but already knew the answer. Just a little something here and there.
Ahadi.
Hikawa tore through her enemies with fire-covered fist as she fought like an wild animal. Fire style, fire circus. Her area was covered in a sphere of fire that contained everyone inside and burned them to a crisp. Quite the monster that won. The two could agree on that as she killed grown men with her bare hands. As the shinobi from the town arrived on the battlefield to help their allies, the large-scale battle picked up again with greater vigor than last time. Landing in front of Jinkasu was a girl with a small frame and platinum blonde hair cut in a bob cut. She held an emotionless demeanor and spoke coldly. You are Uchiha, which means you carry a bloodline. Which also means I will kill you today. She glared at him with eyes of sunset orange. She pulled a small nodachi from her back. It was strapped to a black sash wrapping around her black chest piece which rested over a red bodysuit. You stand in my way. Jinkasu slowly pulled Summer Queen from its containment. You die. He didn't even bother to activate his Sharingan as he would not need it. Renisu, be careful. This guy hangs with that Naruto fella, he must be pretty strong. A boy of dark skin standing much taller said next to her. His hair was long and a spiky purple. But he seems to be underestimating you. And who are you? Jinkasu asked. Now taking a better position just in case he had to fight two opponents at the same time. Kogai. Well Kogai, consider it an honor to die by the hands of an Uchiha. Meera came in with a barrage of punches that Kogai and to use all his speed to dodge. A twist of his ankle and he found Meera's elbow connecting with his jaw, breaking it on contact. Kogai was sent spiraling into a building. He coughed out blood and his vision was blurred as he gazed at where he once was. What just happened? All he could see was a twinkling red light. The next thing he knew was a cut opened up on his chest, before another and another and another. 100 cuts is the name. Meera said winking at him, before his vision went black and he fell off the wall dead. Nice one sister. Jinkasu nodded in Meera's direction who just ran off. Damn you. Renisu charged forward whereas Jinkasu did as well until they were on opposite sides. Those who have no power should stay off the battlefield. Let that be a lesson in your next life. Jinkasu clicked the sword back into its sheath and ran to catch up with everyone else. Renisu slumped on the ground cut in two as blood quickly spilled and tears slowly fell from her closing eyes. That is when a piece of the giant rock wall fell into the water followed by a great explosion. Meera looked to see Naruto and Kagura fighting intensely up there causing large amounts of damage. It looks like brother is winning, I'm sure he will bring the fight to a close soon. You two are worried about the wrong thing. Focus. Shursue speeds past them using Halo Dance, a signature jutsu of his that the team created himself. Yeah, sorry brother. I'm just worried. Meera looked back to Naruto one last time sending her silent hopes for him to be okay. Sengen-sama, let Naruto-kun return safely. Uchiha reflection. Naruto said behind the gunbai which blew back a dragon made from water towards Kagura with double the power. Kagura groaned in pain as he was blasted upwards onto the grassy field on top of the cliff. Kagura had wounds all over his green shirt and blood spilled from the side of his lips. His clothes were damaged and littered with cuts as he began to pant. Naruto suddenly appeared above him falling with his weapon. Kagura rolled out of the way and turned Hiramakerai into a long staff and swiped as Naruto who jumped and ran down the length of the pole towards him. Athletic bastard. Kagura cursed inside his mind and launched the sewing needle toward Naruto who slipped through it using Kemui. Naruto passed through Kagura who expected a hit but felt nothing, only for his vision to be covered by the white fan of Naruto's gunbai smacking him off the cliff. I hate that damn move. Kagura saw Naruto diving down at him like a falling bomb. I've got something for you. Water style, water spears, spears of water formed and rushed towards Naruto who only spun to the side in midair. When Naruto got close enough to punch Kagura, he had to turn and kick one of the spears away from him. But I dodged that. They both landed on the water and rushed towards each other again in a kenjutsu battle. Blocking an attack from Kagura, Naruto's back was left open and a spear of water pierced him from behind. What? Naruto thought in surprise. Damn, I was so focused on Kagura that I didn't realize these things could lock onto my chakra. Rookie mistake. Figured it out? Kagura asked smirking. He jumped back as Naruto launched a barrage of kunai at him which he blocked. Those things will follow you for a total of 5 minutes. Unless you destroy them, but with that wound I dash. What wound? What wound? Kagura narrowed his eyes as the hole in Naruto's top showed his skin was untouched, just like the rest of his body. This was happening the whole battle. Kagura would land a hit only for it to heal right before his eyes or not even hurt Naruto in the first place. Fighting Naruto was really turning into a drag. He discovered the weakness of his Kemui after many battles, and just when he was going to capitalize, Naruto finds a way to gain the advantage in the battle again. You asshole. This time you won't be able to heal. Kagura flipped through hand signs and slammed them on the ground. Summoning. Kraken. A puff of smoke that covered most of the island appeared and everyone's attention was drawn to the monstrous creature with tremendous chakra levels. The smoke was blown away when a pinkish tentacle swiped the air, sending the smoke away. Standing on top of the squishy head of an octopus was Kagura. The thing had 8 extremely large tentacles with razor-sharp teeth and many sucking mouths ready to feast on blood. Master. The thing spoke, having trouble saying just a simple word. Kraken, I need you to help me defeat my enemy over there. Kagura pointed his sword toward the wide-eyes Naruto. A talking beast. And when did he gain a summoning contract? Kagura, you cunning rat. Kraken whipped its 8 tentacles around and lashed out at all the surroundings. This thing was strange though, as it had only one big eye. Its scara was green with a black slit pupil resting in the center. But another thing was odd. Its mouth opened, showing rows upon rows of sharp teeth. A small ball of water began to shape in the center as it grew huge, until it was shot from its mouth into Naruto in the shape of a beam. What the? The attack connected where Naruto was and went ever further, destroying the rock wall, causing gigantic boulders to fall and making giant waves splashing the water and washing up on the island, taking some of the ninjas into the lake. Come on Naruto, I know that didn't finish you. Kagura looked around for Naruto as his pink eyes took in the surroundings. A swirling sound made its way to his ears and Kagura turned to block an attack from Naruto, who came rushing out of the vortex. He can go inside the Kamui too. Since when? Unknown to Kagura, this was something Naruto had just unlocked moments ago, as even he was surprised at the ability he now possessed. Their weapons meet and Naruto racked the Nabari from Kagura's, causing the weapon to land on the island shoreline. Coating his hand in lighting chakra and landing a palm thrust on Kagura's gut, sending him falling off in sharp pain. However, Kagura was gently caught by Kraken's tentacle. Safe. The big monster stuttered again. I don't think so, big guy, he's good. Kagura stood up on the arm of Kraken. The beast shook its head, causing Naruto to jump off the wild beast's head. But not before he slashed at one of the tentacles, trying to slap him off. A clean cut followed, cutting off one of the 8 tentacles. The beast cried in pain as its loud voice shook the air. Only for Naruto to see the chakra gather in the arm and another tentacle popped out. Where did you find this thing, Kagura? Naruto asked, landing on the water. Oh, you know, just at a rescue dog center. Kagura clearly mocked. Naruto calmly glared up into the one eye of the beast. He could just place the beast in a genjutsu, but Kagura could forcefully break it and that would only be a waste of chakra. Right now though, this was good. The fight wasn't that challenging anymore because Naruto held the advantage throughout the whole fight. But now, as much as he tried to fight it, a dark grin slowly morphed onto Naruto's face as chakra began to radiate in waves off his body. The Tomo in Naruto's Mangekyo Sharingan danced around his pupil in excitement as his blood pumped. Let's dance. Naruto put his hands into the tiger seal and activated Kamui. Fire style, bomb blast dance. Naruto spewed out fire that took the form of a swirling vortex following the path of Naruto's Kamui. The jutsu was large as it grew bigger the closer it got to Kagura, casting a shadow from its sheer size, causing even 5-story buildings to look small in size comparison. He still has this much chakra left. When does it end? He doesn't even look tired yet. Even in the past, battling like this would drain him. Naruto, are we truly not on the same level anymore? Kagura's thought wandered on the lines of caution as he began to feel the gap in their power grow further and further. But it was put to a halt when the fire reached Kraken and the sea monster started to get burned as it flailed its tentacles and protest as the flames crawled up its body, burning every part of it. Kagura had to work quickly to put out the flame with water jutsu. Kraken roared and began to spin, kicking up waves that threatened to swallow the island whole. It even started to release water bullets in all directions. Naruto used chakra on his feet to stick to the water. This was going to be a problem. If he allowed the Kraken to stay up, it would cause greater damage to his comrades. And he couldn't allow that. So he'd stop this beast, with his own power. So, he riled up his chakra even further and it turned into crystal white. A skeleton ribcage started to form and Naruto began to get lifted off the ground. A body, muscles, and tendons formed around a body. Until standing there was Naruto's incomplete Susanoo. It holding a scythe and the loop of binding wrapped around its head. Over to the side, Susanoo put a hand on his hip. Welp, guess I don't need to help him. He seems to have this under control. What is that? Meera asked in awe. He sure is strong, and to think we had finally caught up to him in strength. Jinkasa gave a weak laugh as he shook his head. Brother is a peerless genius, the epitome of strength. That is the Susanoo, a unique ability of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Susanoo turned to smirk at the two. Something you two should unlock in the near future. Wow, it's perfect. Meera expressed her shock with wide eyes, before smiling up at Naruto. There it was again, that feeling of adoration she felt towards him as she felt motivated to do better. So that one day, she could be worthy of his love. Shusui's smirk increased. Not quite, but it's close. Naruto looked down at Kraken and Kagura, who had widened eyes of shock. Naruto clenched his fist as he sent more chakra into the Susanoo, going for more. The warrior of white grew and it roared to the sky as its golden eyes shined and parts of the body began to shift. At the joints of its elbows, arms grew, giving the thing 4 arms, and it even grew another face on the back of its head. But just when Naruto could feel the power of it growing, it was like he ran into a wall. Because he now felt something blocking him from going further. What's going on? Why can't I go further? What Naruto didn't know was he did not have enough chakra to complete the perfect Susanoo. So he could not break through to the new realm of power which would be required to obtain a perfect Susanoo. So in the meantime, Naruto would have to make through with what he has now, which was more than enough to crush his enemy. Fine, it's of no meaning. Naruto turned his sights to the Kraken and commanded the Susanoo to attack. This is more than enough to finish this fight. Okay. Do anything, something to block this attack, or we are both dead. Kagura basically yelled to Kraken, who seemed to be shaking as well. He, fit to summon, boss L like him. What are you talking about? Just protect yourself. Kagura ordered. And this time, Kraken pulled itself together and wrapped itself up in its tentacles while also using a protective layer of chakra, which the many mouths on the tentacles did, by releasing a steady stream of chakra, causing a sort of force field to protect him and Kagura. Naruto's eyes took on more of a sorrowful look as he began to feel regret for what he was about to do. No matter what you do, there is no blocking this next attack. This is the end. Naruto raised the scythe high above the Susanoo's head. My friend. The words came out like a whisper in the silent wind. With the force of a dropping meteor, Naruto brought the weapon of the Shinigami down upon the two with a thunderous shockwave that exploded on contact. Well damn, that boy is, wow. Amiri was left speechless by the display of power. Looking over to the place of impact, Bunten narrowed her eyes. Naruto sure has gotten stronger. Naruto, some random guy she just so happened to fight one night, had now become her comrade and sibling student under Amiri. They went back and forward, but mostly her yelling at him. But Naruto had become a very dear person to her. And it had truly damaged her heart to learn of his death. But to see him alive really plastered a bright smile on her face. But now she had to go and check to see if Naruto was okay. But an enemy ninja had taken this chance to sneak up on her from behind. The male shinobi aimed his blade at her back. However, Bunten had a surprise for the idiot. Lighting shield. The shinobi struck the shield and screamed out in pain as the yellow lighting zapped him to a crisp. Dad, I'm going to go check on Naruto. Not giving her father any time to answer, she ran off. Wait. It's not safe. Raiga shouted, but his words simply bounced off Bunten's ears as she ran to the location of the battle. I guess I should go too, maybe this will be a good time to eliminate that brat. He's got to be tired after such a battle. Now was the perfect time for some sneak attack. No one would question how Naruto died in a war such as this one. XXX. Kagura lay beaten and on the brink of death. His breath came out ragged and one of his lungs collapsed from what he could feel. The boy could only see out of one eye and his ribs were broken. D-damn dying hurts. Floating in the now bloody pool of water, was Kraken's bisected octopus head. It seems that only a single blow from Naruto's whatever that was killed him basically. With power like this, Naruto would surely go on to win the war and his people could be saved. And they would soon go on to purge the country and make their nation truly the strongest. Since that was his dream after all. It was only a shame he wouldn't be able to see it through. Landing slowly on the ground as the Susanoo faded off his body, Naruto slowly walked to the dying form of Kagura. Naruto's face showed no emotion as he came closer to the dying form of Kagura. But he was still on guard, ready for anything if need be. You beat me Naruto, I'm dying. Kagura weakly said, coughing up more blood from his damaged body. Naruto stayed silent as he looked at Kagura slowly fading in and out of consciousness. Holding on, still clinging on to life. But why? Naruto got closer and took a knee next to him. I won. Kagura turned and gave Naruto a bloody smile. You did, I know your mom will be proud. He was interrupted by a bloody cough. Say, Naruto. Can you do me a favor? What is it? Call me brother, one time. Why? Kagura scowled. Come on, why you asking me question when I'm about to die, you dick? I don't use that word lightly, it's something only reserved for the members of my clan. Naruto informed Kagura with a heavy heart. What did he see Kagura as? Rival, friend, enemy, brother. Well, if you must know, you are my only friend. Everyone else is scared of me. Kagura sadly said, voice dripping with sorrow and pain. But with you it was different, we connected. I enjoyed fighting you, bantering with you. It was like having a real brother. You see me as your brother. Why? Naruto asked, begged almost. Kagura chuckled one last time. Hurry, brother. Just say it, one time. It was now Kagura's turn to beg as he looked at Naruto with all the hope he had left. Brother Kagura. At hearing his name said, Kagura smiled one last time as he felt overjoyed. Thank you, brother, win this war, and save the country. I believe in you. I will. Naruto said, placing his hand over Kagura's heart as the boy slowly closed his eyes peacefully, ignoring the pain his body was in. Naruto then activated Kamui and sucked Kagura's body into his personal pocket dimension. Landing behind Naruto was Shisui, Bunten, Amuri, Raiga. You okay, kid? That battle was pretty intense. Shisui said, walking on the bloody sand as his feet collected the wet sand. I'll get over it. Naruto stood up again and observed the battle still waging on. How's everything going? We won, this war is over. Shisui answered his younger brother. As expected. Naruto then turned to face Raiga, who looked away once again. Expose this traitor. Naruto pointed his finger at Raiga with a glare. The man flinched, hard. He looked ready to run away any second. But he couldn't do that, he had no chance of escape. His best bet would be to lie. What are you talking about? How am I a traitor? No need to keep this act up any longer. I know you've been leaking information to Yagura about our plans. Naruto coldly stated. As his red Sharingan eyes pierced the man's soul. Raiga, fearing the worst, tightly shut his eyes and looked away. Liar. Then why do you shy away from my eyes, scum? Naruto walked towards the men with Sufuyu humming with chakra. Until Bunten got in his way with her sword ready for a fight. What is this nonsense you speak? My dad isn't a traitor. Glaring holes into Naruto. Listen, he's not the man you want him to be. Naruto said to the girl who was blindly defending her father. Why would I lie about something like this? He's no good. Naruto, how do you know this to be true? Amuri asked, surprisingly being calm about the whole situation. When he got here, I was told he was not shocked to see Uchiha. But when he saw me on the street the other day, he was shocked to see me. Meaning, he already knew Naruto was captured and probably going to die. Shisui finished sending killing intent to Raiga, who began to shake. Bunten shook her head and stumbled back, all of this serving to overwork her brain. What they said were lies. Her dad wasn't a traitor. Bunten turned to face her dad, who was still looking away from the two Uchiha. Dad, what they're saying is lies, right? They're lying. Bunten screamed at her dad with desperation, begging for it all to be a lie, or that they got the wrong guy. Amuri-sensei, you don't believe them, do you? Tell them they're wrong. Bunten gripped her sensei's arms in panic. Nobody moved as Bunten slowly started to sob in her hands. The sight of the normally strong girl collapsing was not something they liked seeing. But this was all because of Raiga. If he wasn't a traitor and a decent father, none of this would have happened. And Bunten could have been a much happier person. Activate it. Already on it. Shisui held up a hand sign and activated his Sharingan. With a pulse of his chakra, the genjutsu Shisui laid dormant on Raiga had activated. No. What did you do? Bunten went to attack Shisui but was blocked by Naruto. We just activated a genjutsu on him, we knew he was a traitor 3 days ago when we exposed him. Naruto said. This genjutsu will only allow him to tell the truth, just believe in me. I wouldn't lie about something like this. Talking face to face, Naruto and Bunten stared at each other in the eyes for a good minute. She could see the truth and sincerity in those crystal black eyes of his, while Naruto could see the begging hope for all this to be a lie in her teal blue eyes. Just listen to him. Naruto moved Bunten's sword, the sword he had specially crafted for her. Was she going to cut him down with that katana? How poetic would that be? Fine. She spat. But you better not be playing any games or you're dead.
Raiga.
You are a spy, correct? Shursue asked, not needing to hold any hand signs for someone so weak. Yes. The men droned. Bunton's heart quaked as her eyes grew wide. This was impossible. It just couldn't be. Why would her dad turn traitor of all things? Amiri soured as she resided the urge to cut the man open. How could he do that to his daughter? Fucking asshole. You have been leaking information about the rebellion to Yagura, correct? Yes. You lied to us about everything, correct? Yes. Why? Because I hate you all. I hate bloodline users. Yagura-sama was correct. You are all devils in human skin. Monsters. Stop it. I don't want to hear any more. Bunton yelled in rage. However, there was a staggering sadness in her voice that could not be mistaken. Take off the genjutsu, I want to talk to him. Shursue could do that for the girl. So he released the genjutsu. The man was going to die anyway. What did you do? You forced those things on me. Raiga yelled, stepping back. Dad, why did you do all those things? Bunton asked, head down. Raiga looked at his daughter. You'd expect him to show some signs of remorse, but he showed none. If the cat's already out of the bag, I'll just be honest. Raiga closed his eyes and took a deep breath. I hate this place. Simple, but he got the point across. Raiga hated his own daughter. Did you not love me? Hell no. I don't even care about you. Your worth means nothing to me. So was it all a lie? Bunton asked, voice shaking and raw with emotion. Yes, I hope you all die and come to understand the true terror of Yagura-sama, you pieces of shit. Bastard. That's your own daughter. Amiri yelled in anger. So? I don't care. All this time, you've been acting. Bunton began to shake and the clouds above began to gather in a storm. Bun Bun is about to blow. Nice. Naruto mentally smirked while outside his face did not change from its plain visage. It was killing me to pretend as if I actually cared for you. I don't love you, I don't care for you, and you were just a mistake. Raiga words cut deep. It was like he was internally trying to break his own daughter's will. He was scum, truly someone who needed to die. And Bunton would deliver it to him. Die, you piece of shit, father. Bunton screamed with all her might and anger. Placing her sword above, lighting fell from the sky, striking the red katana. Tunneling Fong. Spinning in a spiral, Bunton moved forward too fast for Raiga to react as she tunneled through the bastard like he was made from cheap wood. Raiga could only widen his eyes as blood spilled from his gut like a fountain. In the center of his chest was a large hole revealing his insides to the world. A rather gruesome death as bones fell from the hole, landing on the ground. His organs began to fall with wet plops and he soon fell into his own pool of blood. You fucker. Amiri came and kicked Raiga clean in the face just cause. I truly hold no remorse for people like you. Naruto softly mumbled. I hope you suffer in hell. They all turned their back on the dying men. Raiga tried to speak but only blood came up as his lungs were destroyed. Bunton started to shake as she was about to break down again. Amiri, being the best sensei she could be, quickly enveloped the girl in a tight hug. Don't worry, sweetheart, it's going to be okay. Seeing Amiri be so kind and gentle was a shock to Shursue. He didn't think she was capable of something so gentle. Always seeing Amiri as this badass bitch who couldn't be touched. Well, that's how she put it at least. Shursue started to ponder the future. Amiri would make a great mother if she could be so loving. Shursue blushed at his thoughts. He shook his head rapidly. Now was not the time to be thinking like that. These feelings would have to be explored afterward. Okay, let's regroup with Captain Harabel and await further instructions. Naruto said, getting everyone back on track. Hey, Naruto. He turned at the soft voice calling his name. He saw Bunton looking away from him and rubbing at her arm.
EM.
Come on, it's not hard. Naruto taunted. Bunton glared as her cheeks turned red. I am sorry. Whatever. Wah. What do you mean whatever? After I apologized, that's all you can say. I was trying to say sorry for doubting you like that and almost killing you. You. Almost kill me. Naruto laughed. Don't be stupid. He continued walking, ignoring the fuming girl. You eggplant-haired bastard. Wait till dash. You didn't need to apologize to me. You just believed in your father, even if it was misplaced. I don't hold what you did against me and I never will. Naruto turned and surprisingly hugged Bunten. Don't ever feel like you need to apologize for something you believe to be valid. Bunten's eyes watered as she hugged him back, ignoring the bloody armor he was wearing. Thank you for being my friend. It means so much to me. Oh make, Sengen-sama alter. Naruto found himself in a strange world as he looked around at the colorful scene. Where am I? He heard an angelic chuckle followed by a melodious female voice. You're in my domain. Turning around, Naruto saw words couldn't even describe who he was looking at. She was perfect, unmatched beauty. Silky jet black hair falling to her nest but somehow being carried by the wind. Her skin was a soft unblemished pale complemented by her just as black eyes that contained a mature playfulness in them. Sengen wore an off-the-shoulder kimono that was crimson red and made from the richest fabrics. Her nails and toenails were painted red, adding a pop of color to her alluring outfit. Naruto couldn't help himself, he blushed but only slyly as he started the approaching beauty. How I've longed to meet you, Naruto-kun. The woman trailed a finger down the side of his face. Who are you? Naruto asked, stepping back on guard. The woman smiled and put a hand to her mouth. Oh my, how could I embarrass myself like this? I am Sengen, the mother of all Uchiha. She then winked at him. But you can call me mommy. Naruto found himself being pulled by some force into the woman's exposed chest. Chapter
13.
On a giant floating island rested a large village, one of the Great Five. The Mist Village. The place was blanketed in fog and the air smelled heavy with seawater. Their gray stone buildings had large tree roots or trees atop their tall houses. The place was like a rainforest with how scattered civilization looked. It was thanks to the thick trees that blocked out rays of the bright sun combined with the potent mist, their village was very hard to find if you didn't know what you were looking. It was a cultivated jungle with many rocky ledges surrounding the village's background. This is where the people of the village lived, accustomed to the humid air, hurricanes, foggy mornings, and wildlife up in the trees. It was the animals' home as much as it was theirs. Ninja ran with great speeds to a bulky tower seated above a finely crafted stone bridgeway. Its bridges spewed out across the village like branches of a tree, meant to invite those of the village into it. But nowadays, Northwest One visited the place in fear of the Mizukage's wrath. Only ninjas going to turn in mission reports or receive them entered the Kage mansion. Now, however, many ninjas could be seen flocking to the tower with panicked faces. As they entered the furnished hallways that were empty and cold, they couldn't help but shiver as they approached the Mizukage's office. They all stopped, collected themselves, and knocked gently. They received the call to enter and bowed, dropping to one knee in front of their leader. Mizukage-sama, we bring terrible news. Yagura was not facing any of them as he laid back in the leather black chair facing the misty village. The men didn't even acknowledge them as he continued to face the window. The shinobi took this as a sign to continue with what they had to say. It's about Shiogakure Island. It has been taken over by the rebels and resulted in mass casualties. With such a major loss, we are now completely surrounded by the rebel army. That seemed to get their leader's attention as he turned, resting his fist against his cheek, giving them a dispassionate stare through pupilless pink eyes. So their plan has come true after all, huh? I am impressed if anything. They are a persistent bunch, I tell you. You knew about this, my lord. Why not try and stop it? One asked, shocked and a little disappointed at the lack of action taken by their leader. I didn't think they'd make it this far, to be honest. Yagura's voice still seemed dull as he changed his posture, becoming a bit more interested as he leaned on his desk. We have more though, this more sensitive news. The shinobi averted his gaze, his face morphed into that of pity. Go on, spit it out. Well, they, killed your son. More specifically, Naruto Uchiha killed him. A chilling dead silence floated in the office as Yagura's eyes bore into the shaking soldier. Excuse me, did you say my son was killed? Yagura asked, not sure if he heard the shinobi correctly. Because what he was saying couldn't be true. His son of all people died. Kagura was stronger than most of the jounin in their ranks. Sure, the Yagura didn't spare any time to train Kagura, but he still turned out to be quite the spectacle. Yes, sir. The shinobi bowed his head until it touched the floor. We shall leave immediately to take revenge for you, son. Before they could gather other ninjas to help them in their battle, Yagura spoke. No. Gather all of the shinobi in the village and tell them that this war ends tomorrow. Right away, sir. They all voiced in unison and flashed away to tell the good news. All 8,000 of them. Now in the office alone was a shaking Yagura. His body was racked with tremors as his chakra thrashed about in the room around him, leaving it in shambles. Running down his cheeks were warm tears as they spewed from his sockets. His eyes shifted from red, mimicking the pattern of a Sharingan, and then back to hot pink. Visions flashed across Yagura's mind in rapid succession, slamming into him like two goats going head to head. He had a son, a girlfriend, a family, friends, and he was the Mizukage trying to fight for change. All these memories that seemed to be hiding in the back of his brain came rushing to the front of his mind. Where did the time go? These memories of his. Locked behind a blurry was of glass, only letting him see faint outlines of what used to be. My mind. It hurts. What happened? Yagura fell from his chair and thrashed on the ground, relishing a stomach-turning scream. His son had died. The only family he had left was gone. It was too much. Why did his child have to be taken from him like this? Why did he have to leave his father all alone? That sorrow quickly began to overtake Yagura as years upon years of guilt and regret began to rise to the surface. So much so that the men began to spill his guts on the floor, revolted with himself and the actions he had taken a part in. This is not what he was supposed to do as a Mizukage. He swore to fight to make this a better place, to change the bloody mist. Not make things worse. He then picked himself back up and laid back in his chair and took heavy breaths. All of that sorrow seemed to have calmed him down. But now, a new emotion took to the surface. A passionate burning rage swelled up inside his body. A dark chakra oozed from his body, corrupting his mind and giving him dark thoughts as hate took over him once more, but this time. It felt different. It seemed to be the hate of a devastated father, an angry Mizukage, and another. Someone even more vengeful than he was. The murderer of his child, Naruto Uchiha. He and his whole clan shall become the victim of his wrath. Tomorrow, they would all die. No survivors. The place was still a mess after the battle only a couple of hours ago. People moved around cleaning up the area, helping their comrades who were injured, rounding up the surrendering enemies, or finally taking this time to rest. Some tents had been set up to try and make something of this place in the meantime. But a rather large tent sat in the middle and shadows could be seen moving in the background of the tent. Inside was Naori talking over the future with her generals, Esteth, Harabel, and May. Okay, it's go time. It happened a bit sooner than I wanted, but now we have no other choice. Naori paced back and forth. I am sure Yagura has received reports already, so he knows we have him surrounded on all fronts. Not to mention, his son is dead. She finished with a sad sigh. Her heart went out to Yagura. No matter how much of a monster he was, having your son killed on the battlefield is sure to drive anyone over the edge. Yeah, should we pull all our forces together and fight him head-on? May asked with a worried expression. No, even if we put all our forces together, we'd still be outnumbered by a large number. We are going to use our advantage of surrounding them to our favor. Naori smirked as she drew lines on the map of water country on the table. Naori drew a circle around all the bases they had. The mist village was smack in the middle on a huge island. We will bring our troops from the west, east, north, and us in the south to all converge on the battlefield right here. Drawing a big X on a large clearing, she dropped the marker and gave a nervous grin. It will take them some time to make it to the point. Any questions? Harabel raised her hand. Won't that take too long? How are we going to survive the onslaught of attacks? A good question, but you forget. I am an Uchiha with the Mangekyo Sharingan, my abilities are suited for battle. Esteth was the one to react first, surprising everyone. No way. Are you implying you're okay with fighting them by yourself until backup arrives? The concern and anger Esteth spoke with served to surprise them all, as she still seemed to dislike the Uchiha. Naori's shocked face soon morphed into a small smile. While I am grateful for your concern, it is not needed. I am the strongest in this country. I know it may sound arrogant, but it is the truth. Humph, it seems the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Esteth turned her head. Naruto, the damn brat. Now she can see where he got it from. Even so, we can't allow you to do something so dangerous on your own. May said, much calmer but still concerned. There has to be something we can do. Not until their numbers are reduced, I promise it won't take long. You'll just have to wait and see. There's no one on the other side who can stop me. Let alone the Uchiha. Naori finished with a proud grin at her family name. Mei chuckled. You're starting to sound more and more like your son. Has he been rubbing off on you? Maybe just a little. Naori laughed back. Before she became serious once again. But after I am done with that, we can then work on fighting the rest of them. We haven't talked about him yet. What are we going to do with Yagura? Harabel brought up the sour subject. I will take him down. A simple statement Naori made. She didn't look nervous, she didn't shake or anything of the sort. In the bingo book, Naori was listed as the strongest kunoichi, even over Tsunade Senju, who was famous for her legendary strength and medical combat. So come tomorrow, everyone will bear witnesses to the full might of Naori Uchiha. I already sent out a message to the other camps, they should be traveling to the location now, since it will take some time. Naori spoke once again. So now we just prepare and wait for the long overdue battle. Mei said. I pray everything goes according to plan. With Sengen-sama backing us, there's no way we could lose. Naori finished with a proud, confident smile on her face. Naruto used his great agility to avoid the unique blade swings of Bunten's sword act. He didn't even have his Sharingan activated as another form of training for him. To be able to predict his enemy's moves without using his Sharingan. Naruto was somewhat able to do this, but only in taijutsu, not during high-speed kenjutsu matches. Bunten didn't grit her teeth at having missed her attack, as she figured this would happen. Instead, she tries and flips the situation to her advantage. Her lips spread into a grin, showing sharp jagged teeth like daggers similar to that of her sensei. Lightning armor, wrapping around Bunten like a cocoon, was yellow sparking electricity that was rather dense. It covered the shady courtyard in yellow lighting. This was just supposed to be a light spar in sword acts. Naruto thought relaxed while seeing the bright young girl. Her stance still shows she will use double blade. Come at me. As if hearing Naruto's thoughts, Bunten dashed forward in a trail of yellow light moving in zigzag patterns trying to confuse Naruto. She was then all of a sudden in his face performing an attack. Naruto went to block, but Bunten blurred from his vision. A feint. Moving his head on a swivel, tossing his purple hair, Naruto saw the vortex of attacks coming his way from a smug-looking Bunten. You should know it's not over so soon. Naruto's arms blurred as he performed the second sword act, causing a protective dome of swings to block the incoming attacks. I know. That's why I'm taking it easy on you. Idiot. Bunten yelled over the loud ringing of the clashing metal between their two weapons. Bunten told a lie, she was not going easy on Naruto. The only restraint she should was not aiming to kill. But, this long spar would soon come to a climactic end. Double blade fifth act. What, she's already at the fifth act? She surpassed me in sword acts. Though he may have thought surprised. He held a look of pride and fondness aimed at Bunten, who did not miss the look. Even if she had more blade acts than him, this did not mean she would win this spar. Rampaging lightning. Bunten used greater speed enhanced by the lighting armor, speeding up her muscles, nervous system, and cells in the body. Her power was greater, along with her speed, and thinking. Let's see, what's the best way to stop a charging beast? Naruto observed as Bunten inched closer along with the rapid strikes from her two swords. The fifth act seems to be an onslaught of attacks meant to overwhelm. I see where the name comes from. She has a lot of momentum, so she'll be pretty hard to stop, so I'll have to apply a greater force for a longer period of time. Naruto squeezed the handle of his two Uchiha-styled katanas. He had a plan, but needed an attack from Amuri's double blade to stop this charging beast in front of him. I don't know anything in the double blade stance that could stop her. I have to get some more training from Amuri-sensei. Naruto knew what he had to do though. I'd much rather create something new anyways, since creating is the essence of life. Naruto moved forward ready to meet Bunten in a clash. He's doing it again. Amuri palmed her face. Naruto was just something else. Naruto created a whole new move as he brought both swords that were glowing with chakra to meet the blades of Bunten. He did continuous slashes horizontally, diagonally, and in turning arcs. The dance these two kids found themselves in was quite the spectacle, but like Naruto intended, he began to overpower Bunten as swords flew from her hands and got stuck in the ground while the girl fell on her butt. And I win again. Naruto held the sword inches away from Bunten's face with a pleased smirk. Damn you, I thought I was going to win that for sure. Bunten then accepted the hand Naruto extended to her. She got up and patted the dirt off her clothes and walked to get the swords batted from her hands. She picked them up and gripped them tightly, until they crumbled to pieces of metal on the ground. Naruto, Naruto, Naruto. I don't know what goes on inside that brain of yours. Amiri came down and slung an arm around Naruto's neck. But I love it. Love the new sword act you just created on the fly. She was proud, and wanted Naruto to know that. He was truly a gifted child, a genius on and off the field. And she cared greatly for both of the students in her care. Thank you, sensei, your words mean a lot. Naruto accepted the embrace and compliment with a smile. Around his close friends, he allowed the stoic mask he wore to fade and display his true colors to them. He'd do anything for them. But Naruto wanted to ask his sensei for a favor. Is it okay if you teach me some more sword acts? I noticed Bunton's ahead of me and on track to master all 10 acts before me. Even if she trained you for 3 straight years. You won't master them before I do. Bunton was up and challenging Naruto already with fire burning in her heart. If that makes you feel any better, I'll allow it. Naruto said. Though I don't know why you try. Me winning is inevitable. Inevitable. What does that even mean? You know what, shove it up your ass. Bunton turned and crossed her arms as her face heated up from embarrassment of not knowing the word. I told you I hate when you use those fancy words. That's why you should read more. I tried to offer you books but you seem to be uninterested unless it has to do with being a shinobi. He's got a point there, Sparky. Sensei. Don't take his side in this. What? Serving to read may help educate you and bring you a higher understanding of the world. Wow, sensei, that was great. Never knew you liked to read. Naruto was actually impressed. What type of genre do you read? Mainly history books, biographies, and little tad bits of romance. Interesting, elder brother Shisui likes those genres too. At his words, Amiri looked surprised. That's cool, maybe we can meet and chat about them. Amiri crossed her arms and nodded with a smile. You know, he sometimes asks about you when we're training. Maybe he has a thing for you. Naruto said, hiding a smirk. Has he now? Amiri tapped her cheek. I will definitely poke fun at him for that. She turned and gave a sharp grin towards Naruto. As thanks, take this A-rank lighting jutsu. Oh, I wanna see. Bunton tried to peek her head and view the scroll. But Naruto placed up a hand. Not happening, you already have your own scroll. This is for me. I know, but I want yours too. I'm not sharing until I feel like it. Naruto tucked the scroll in his pouch and crossed his arms. Amiri watched the two mouth off like brother and sister. It was really cute. Seeing the normally calm Naruto have his buttons pushed and Bunton's temper be poked purposely. She couldn't hold the laugh that escaped her as she saw the two. Sounds like you guys are having fun. Butterflies flew around Naruto until they turned into the arms of his mother who was hugging him. Hello Naru, how's your day going? Naruto smiled as he tilted his head back to look at his mother. It's been good, I've just been doing some light training with Sensei and Bunton. He said. I even managed to create a new sword act. Naori smiled back. That's great honey, you're always creating new things. Well, as father said, you must always strive to improve and create, as those are the driving forces of life. Naruto recited one of the quotes his dad would often say. He did sure to remember them all as best he could. He did say that, didn't he? Naori giggled softly. Her husband often thought himself a wise man and a teacher of life. But Naori noticed Naruto's fluctuating chakra. It could have been from the battle a couple of hours ago and his chakra was just replenishing itself. Are you sure it's okay for you to be up and fighting so suddenly? You know you might still be recovering and whatnot. Her voice was worried and laced with motherly concern. It will be okay, I don't feel any pain. As I said before, I feel better than ever. He answered his mother's concern, who let him go from her hug. Now that his mother was here, Naruto could ask her a question. Mother, is it possible I could get a summoning contract? Naori looked surprised as her eyebrows raised. What's brought this on all of a sudden? I'm sure you already received reports about it, but Kagura performed a summoning contract. Now I find myself wanting one. Well, do you want my butterflies? Naori asked with a bright smile, wishing to pass down something to her son. I'll pass on that, is there anything else? Naruto knew there was something his clan had that they often summoned. A clan animal, but it was slipping his mind right now. Despite the pout, Naori flipped through hand signs, and in a puff of smoke, in her hand was a scroll with a paw print. The Uchiha possessed the Naniko. I can give you this if you want it. Yeah, that's right, I almost forgot the clan had that. Why does no one ever talk about them? Naruto asked the question as he took the scroll and observed the leathery strap holding it all together, with a small red paw print smack in the center. They are not the fighting type, so we didn't use them as the Uchiha is a clan of fighters. So the scroll normally just stayed with the elders who summoned them from time to time. Saying cats were good for the soul. Naori revealed important history of the clan. So if you are looking for a fighting partner, these are not your best bet. But that's not saying they can't fight at all. It's fine, I am sure they will serve other purposes than just fighting. Naruto unraveled the scroll and laid it on the ground. He could see only 2 names signed in blood. Izuna Uchiha. Yul Uchiha. Izuna, wasn't that? Indeed. Naruto felt amazed. Was he going to sign the same contract that Madara's brother signed? Using his knowledge of summoning contracts he read from books, Naruto wrote his name in blood on one of the open spaces. Mother, can you show me the hand signs? Can I sign it? Bunten asked, sitting next to Naruto. Naori gave an apologetic smile. Sorry sweetie, but this is a clan contract only. To this, Bunten dropped her head in disappointment. Hey! We can get you your very own special contract, so cheer up. Amiri tried to cheer up Bunten, hoping to fix the knot forming in her chest. Yeah, and it will be something kick-ass. Language. Naori pinched Bunten on the cheek hard and left the wound throbbing. Do I need to wash your mouth out with soap? Naori asked, giving her that stare all mothers had. No. Bunten responded, holding her cheek. Okay, let's go before you receive a spanking. Amiri grabbed Bunten and ran before she could get chewed out. Hand signs, Mom. She flushed. Yeah, sorry. Naori wove hand signs slow enough for Naruto to see. Boar, dog, bird, monkey, and ram. Easy enough. But before that, you need to draw blood. Nodding, Naruto bit the tip of his thumb and flipped through the hand signs. He brought his right hand down and seals spread across the ground in black ink. Small clouds of smoke covered the area and Naruto could see the silhouette of a cat. It was a normal-sized gray cat with a yellow scara and sharp black pupils in the shape of a slit. The cat looked at Naruto with a passive, placid expression. It then turned its head and observed its surroundings. Doing this action made the bell around its neck jingle. Hello, I am Naruto Uchiha. Nice to meet you. Naruto displayed his manners as he extended a hand toward the cat, who was clearly intelligent as they observed him. Pleasure. The cat spoke back, extending their great paw. The voice was feminine and soft, like a mother, he noted. But I already know of you, young kitten. What an adorable cat. Naori crouched and slowly moved her hand for the cat to sniff. Clan head, nice to lay eyes on you. Yul speaks highly of you. The Molly said, licking her paw. All of us Naniko are up to date on current information. We lend an ear to the elders sometimes. Is that so? Well, I guess we don't need to explain anything. Naori said. My name is Rima. A mother of an adorable kitten at home and maid of Ishimura. Rima gave a happy smile. Well, Rima, are you my personal summon? Rima crawled into Naruto's lap and began to stretch while enjoying the head pats Naruto gave. Nope, it's my little one. I just answered the call for her as I wanted to meet you first. Rima said. But you seem like a well-mannered fellow, I'll allow it. Thank you, I will not mistreat your daughter. What, are you going to marry her? Stop talking so formal. Rima made a high-pitched sound that seemed more like a meow and hiccuping laugh. When she calmed down and saw Naruto's unamused expression, she spoke again. Tough crowd, but anyways, like I said before. We are not heavy fighters but can still aid you in combat. You will discover what we can do in the near future. I understand, I will just find use in your clan another way. You must be superior in something as you are a summoning species of the Uchiha. It wasn't hard to miss the pride in Naruto's voice and Rima took notice of it. Correct. Because I like you so much, I'll drop you a hint. Rima stood up on her 2 back legs and walked like a normal person. Something that everyone has a different perspective on. It keeps the world intact, but when controlled, it can bring ruin. Rima finished with a sharp claw pointed at her throat. See ya. Space in their location cracked, and Rima jumped towards the crack, knocking it down as she flew through the glowing hole emanating bright lights. What? What just happened? Naori looked alarmed as she hesitantly reached to where the crack was. Naruto also looked alarmed, but not to the degree his mother was. Rima willingly jumped through the thing without any care in the world. That meant she had no fear, and obviously knew what it was. That was another question, what was that just now? It was almost like a crack in reality. What's that? His mother asked. The answer to her question. Reality. The Naniko can control reality, or more specifically, genjutsu. Naori looked back to where the crack had just been, only to see another one forming. This time, she felt a foreign chakra invade her system. A quick pulse of her chakra and the crack was gone like it never existed. So she placed us both in a genjutsu like that just now. Yes, like I just did, she distracted us with the riddle and moving around so we wouldn't notice her placing small amounts of her chakra into our system. Rima is quite the intellectual. Naruto deduced the riddle in only a matter of minutes, showing his vast intelligence. So are you satisfied with them? If not, I can still give you mine. Naori tried to sway her son. But Naruto had gone through years of this with his mother and built up quite the tolerance. So now when any woman would try and use their good looks, he would stay strong. No thank you, mother. Fine. Naori sagged her shoulders and gave up. That's when another puff of smoke and a bell rang. Hello, and Naruto-sama, I am to be your personal summon. Walking out of the smoke was a small kitten who looked nervous. Staring at him were eyes like her mother, just blue scara tinged with slight bits of fear. The voice was that of a young girl. Her fur was a smooth solid gray. And nice to meet you.
I'm Shina.
She stopped inches from Naruto and averted her eyes. I'm Naruto. Glad we can work together. Naruto did something that surprised Kina and Naori. He brought the young kitten into his lap and started to gently pet her, scratching behind her ear. Kina loved it and snuggled into Naruto's hands, releasing a cute meow followed by a purr. That is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Naori squealed to herself and took a picture with the camera. She quickly hid the picture before Naruto could see it. This was going in her picture book. Kina then became aware of her actions and jumped up.
And Naruto-sama.
I am sorry. She bowed her head and tears came to the corner of her eyes. Naruto gave a soft smile. It's okay, and you can just call me Naruto. Come back, I like the feel of your fur. This will also be a good chance for us to bond. If you say it's okay. It didn't take much to convince Kina as she walked back into Naruto's lap. Okay Naruto, you've had enough downtime. I need to inform everyone that tomorrow we fight the last battle of the war. Naori entered back into the conversation with a serious expression. Okay, I am ready to win tomorrow. Victory shall finally be achieved. The sky was covered by impending gray clouds and the air was thick with tension. The ground rumbled as many shinobi walked toward their destination. Leading an army of 8,000 soldiers was Yagura, the fourth Mizukage. Leading only 1,000 forces was Naori. Many of the ninja behind her seemed shaken up and scared with pale faces. They were not as confident as Yagura's forces, who had a large advantage in numbers. As both sides exited their forest, they could see each other's soldiers from the distance. On opposing sides of the large field, the two leaders glared at each other. They were on a blank field of just grass and mist, with no buildings around. The battle soon to take place would go down in the books as the Battle of Revolution. Naruto looked on, decked in Uchiha armor and Safuya at the ready. Next to him was Jinkasu dressed in matching attire like him. To Naruto's left was Meera, also wearing the armor like her two brothers. That's a large force. Jinkasu said what was on everyone's mind as his hand slightly began to shake. The one to grab his hand and stop him from shaking was Haikawa. Don't piss yourself now. We've got a battle to win. She gave him a grin, her confidence rubbing onto him. You're right, we have to win. Naruto looked behind him to see that many still felt despair and the crushing weight that they might all die here. He couldn't have that. They could not go into battle with the thought of already losing. He had to do something, or else they would lose before they even started. He turned and slammed his gunbai into the ground, drawing all their attention. Wipe those looks off your faces. They all looked at Naruto, confused as to what he was talking about. While Naori's lips began to curve. While it was true she gave a speech last night and rallied the troops a little, it would not compare to what Naruto was about to do. You all look like we have already lost. We didn't even start yet. Thinking we've lost when we haven't even started yet. It's ridiculous. If you were going to come all the way out here just to drag us down, you shouldn't have come at all. I have no use for a weak shinobi, someone ready to give up before they even start. Naruto's eyes gazed over everyone, meeting them with unshakable resolve. Victory is dangling right in front of us, and it's for our taking. If you are still feeling doubts, step up and I will kill you myself. Let your death be an example of the fate that awaits weaklings. They looked, and many felt shaken up. He doesn't seem to be joking either. Mei worriedly thought. True, he may have motivated some soldiers but not all of them. The crowd began to stir as Naruto's words sunk in. They felt a heat swelling in their stomachs and motivation soon took over. We will not fall. We will not fail. We will not break. Let those words rest in your very soul. We have endured long enough, now is the time to strike back and fight for a better future that we can all be proud of. This is a battle for the future. The shinobi began to feel moved and raised their fist high into the air. They screamed from within their very souls as their screams together sounded like the roar of a mighty beast, causing the loyalists to stir with trepidation. We will not fall. We will not fail. We will not break, was the chant that the shinobi started to scream. Some had fresh tears rolling down their face as their hearts had been moved to a new height. How could they be feeling so down? Victory was only hours away. Now I'm feeling motivated, Jinkasa said. How does he do it? Chojuro asked, wishing he had that unshakable confidence. I can't tell you, kid. He's always been like that. Shursue answered Chojuro's question. Meera was chanting alongside everyone, raising her weapon in the sky. For freedom. Naruto picked up his gunbai. And glory of the mist. This definitely got them motivated as they stomped their foot on the ground, all 1,000 of them. Naruto looked up at the cloudy sky. And may Sengen-sama be with us? Yagura had enough and tossed his hand out. Forces cheering with their own battle cries. To which, the rebels moved to engage, but only after Naori moved in front of everyone with her Mangekyo Sharingan already activated. Pink chakra resembling fire spun to life around her and she began to rise off the ground. A skeletal figure made from pink rose up high into the sky. It grew so large in fact that even the shinobi on the field stopped to stare. Glaring down at everyone with its malevolent eyes was Naori's perfect Susanoo. Its face was covered by a crown with horns spiking out at the top, leaving only the mouth and jaw revealed. The Susanoo still looked feminine and dangerous with pink hair cascading down its back, wearing a kimono made from the pink fire raging and crackling. In one of her 4 hands, was a long naginata colored a flaming pink. This was called a Meninohoko, said to have raised the land from the sea by their goddess Sengen. With a single swipe of the spear, it's said to have carved oceans and rivers across the world. They were true. Naori swiped down a Meninohoko with such force that it dropped many to their knees from the sudden shift in air pressure. The spear's blast of air erupted as it traveled to the loyalists. With just a swing, the sheer air ran from a Meninohoko in fear of its might. This was not a good thing for Yagura and his army as they had to suffer the harsh wind tearing up the ground and destroying everything in front of Naori. An explosion sounded for miles and smoke occupied the air. Naruto bit his lip. What he saw was destruction. The army that was just in front of them had been chopped down by the thousands. Literal rivers of blood filled the cracks in the earth. He couldn't even speak. Nobody could. If Mother could have done this the whole time, why didn't she? Why didn't she act when Naka was being killed right in front of them? Why not put a stop to it all? Oh my Sengen. Myra's mouth hung open at the aftermath. This is the power of a perfect Susanoo. Seems so, Naruto said and walked forward. The enemy was weak and on their knees. They had just received a crushing loss that would not be easily recovered from. They could not miss this opportunity. Move forward. Naruto roared as he ran to meet the recovering enemy head-on. Everyone followed behind Naruto as they moved to meet the enemy. Naori just took out at least 3,000 of them. We need to take them down now, Mei declared. Quickly. On your feet. The enemy approach. One of the surviving members of Yagura's army said and rallied his comrades. Don't let them pass. The forces clashed and jutsu, ninja tools, and bodies were flung about as screams echoed along with the sound of flesh being torn apart. The grass became stained in blood as shinobi on both sides were cut down. Naruto cut down a fair share of shinobi with Safuyu. The blood splattered on his face, trying to cover up his ruthless expression from the world. He blocked a sword swing aimed at him, he spun swinging Safuyu vertically cutting those around him in half. Stepping blade. Jinkasu performed one of his kenjutsu techniques and cut down a dozen enemies. We just have to hold out for a couple hours. Jinkasu thought with comfort as he entered battle again. Meera was beside her brother Shisui as they performed Uchiha-style halo dance. The combined flames from the two elite Uchiha were enough to trample the enemy. Naori looked down at the battle taking place. She floated inside the mouth of the Susanoo and simply observed. An all-out battle was taking place. Was this really the only way things could have been solved? So many things happened that could have been avoided. No, there's no point in thinking about that now. Things have already fallen into chaos, but I shall pick the pieces back up and move them along. After coming to terms with the situation, Naori looked at Yagura, who was gritting his teeth in anger. But as she looked deep, she could feel something lingering deep within. His chakra is all scrambled up. Could it be because of his tailed beast? I don't think so. Kushina's chakra was just fine. This seems more like a genjutsu. Yagura turned and strained his neck to look up at the hulking figure blocking the rays of the sun, trying to peek through the clouds, casting her bright image in murky shadows. Blasted women. I'll put an end to all of this. Uncaring of his allies in close proximity to him. Red corrosive chakra flooded the battlefield in an instant. It felt like the gates of hell has just been opened as the dark and twisted chakra of the three tails appeared. The giant imposing figure of the three-tailed turtle stared down at everyone, but not meeting the height of Naori Susanoo. Yagura opened his mouth and a ball of condensed water began to form. I've got to get him away from here. Or he's going to annihilate us before backup arrives. Naori had to think of something quick, and she did. She stomped on the ground and a trench rushed towards Yagura, causing him to lose his balance and fall into the wide trench big enough to hold all of the three tails. Naori didn't stop there as she moved forward and moved a meninohoko in her hand as to get a better grip. She then swung the chakra weapon and picked Yagura up right off the ground and into the air, where he spun like a top until crashing into surrounding mountains. With a leap, Naori and her Susanoo were off. When she landed, it was in front of Yagura, who was recovering. Trying to catch Naori off guard, Yagura lashed out with one of his tails. Naori reacted in time and managed to catch the tail and began to spin in a circle, going faster and faster. When Naori released her grip and let the turtle fly. But she didn't stop there. Naori held out her hand. Shortly afterward, Magatama beads spun on a chain. Yasaka Magatama. The projectiles flew at Yagura at great speeds. But Yagura was not defenseless. When he faced the Uchiha head again, rushing towards the women were many-tailed beast bombs. They impacted with Naori Susanoo, but she showed no signs of damage, as the bombs were more like rocks being thrown at a mountain. I need to release the genjutsu on him, but he's doing all this moving around. I will need to make physical contact to remove it. Holding him down is the goal. Naori now had a plan and was now working on putting the plan in motion. Come on. Don't give up yet. Naruto carried one of his sisters toward the back and into one of the many craters. You can't die when we are about to win. You need to see the future we're fighting for. Naruto tried to heal her with his knowledge of medical ninjutsu. The wound was deep on her side and she had already lost a lot of blood. It's too late for me, brother. Why you have to survive? She brought up her shaking, cold pale hand stained in her own blood. It was an honor to die at your side, brother. She said with as much firm confidence as she could muster, hoping to show how much she admired Naruto and all he had done. For being the person that he was, someone she could rely on when times became too much to bear alone. Naruto took the hand and squeezed it tight as he looked down at the girl with compassion in his eyes. It was my honor to have lived by yours, sister. That sentence seemed to lift her spirits greatly as her eyes lit up. She started to cry tears of joy in her last moments. Her eyes closed and she took her last breath. She died with a smile on her face. Naruto placed his hands over her head and quickly said a prayer. May Sengen-sama take you. Naruto then stood and climbed out of the now grave. As calm as he portrayed on the outside, he was starting to lose a grip on his temper. But he gained a grip on it once again and flooded the area with his bloodlust. Not speaking a word, he engaged in battle with more vigor. Rising from his shadow were copies of himself with the elements of earth, wind, fire, water, and lighting. He's pissed. Meera noted. Her clothes were covered in blood, Tonto still fresh with blood. They had been fighting for hours and still got no backup. Where the hell were they? But one thing was for sure. I'm also pissed. Running from the tree line was more shinobi. They were on the side of the rebels. All right. We're not too late. One of them cheered. A loud horn then sounded from them. One of them was blowing through a hand-sized horn. A war horn it was called. This was a sign of the battle taking a true shift. This group was also 1,000 large. Rebels began to spill out from the tree lines as their army started to surround the loyalists. 2,000 shinobi came to aid. This was the reinforcement they were hoping for. Now, they had Yagura's army surrounded on all fronts and began to slowly push them in on each other. 3,000 to 5,000. The rebels were still lacking in numbers. However, that would not be a problem anymore. The ground shook violently from the explosion rocking the battlefield. Imperial thunder. Naruto roared, unleashing one of his more powerful jutsu. Helping him in his destruction were the elemental clones unleashing their own jutsu. The clones did not need to use hand signs as they were simply made from the elements. They possessed greater control over the elements. The clone using wind jutsu literally flew around the field slicing off the heads of enemies with its blade of wind. The clone of water and lighting worked together to send out electrified water at their enemies. The clone from fire burned foes to the ground using fire jutsu as if it was a simple task like breathing. Push them back. They die here. Naruto lead the charge to finish them off. Die fuckers. Bunten tunneled through them all with her lighting armor. Not stopping there, she unleashed the fifth sword act which none of them could block. Triple X. Tailed Beast Bomb. Extending the palm of the Susanoo, Naori caught the ball and rammed it back into the shell of Yagura who turtled up. The resounding explosion served to level the field and cover the area in an explosion. And just to be sure, Naori raised up a Menenohoko and brought it down with all her force crushing the shell of Yagura's tailed beast transformation. The mountains around them were reduced to nothing from the force at which Naori swung. When it all calmed down, Yagura laid on his back, now back to his normal appearance. His clothes were torn apart and patches of blood stained his skin. A loud ringing echoed in his head and flashes of memory skittered across his vision. Once again, he felt as if something wasn't right and that he didn't belong here. That should do the trick. Naori released her hand from Yagura's leg. She had just released him from the genjutsu. The man was too distracted to notice she was approaching. Naori backed up though as she didn't know what might happen now that Yagura was free. He could at least be free in his last moments. What just happened? Yagura tried to move, but couldn't as he felt the strength leaving his body. He was dying. Are you yourself now? Looking over, Yagura saw a famous kunoichi looking at him. And Naori Uchiha. What are you doing here? That is when everything came crashing back into him like a paper bomb to the face. His face paled and took on a look of shocked horror. I'm a monster. All my actions, I can't believe that was me. How could I have done that? I'm a failure as a Kage. Naori watched as the men had a breakdown on the ground. Tears of regret came rolling down his face. So he really was being controlled. But by who? That was the real question. What Uchiha had placed the fourth Mizukage in a genjutsu so powerful for so long? Naori knew it was an Uchiha from the jump as she could tell it was inflicted by an Uchiha. There was a uniqueness to it that other practitioners of genjutsu did not have. None of this was your fault, you didn't have any control over your actions. Naori tried to calm down the despairing Kage. It is. I failed to break from this genjutsu and save my country. All I did was plunge my country into chaos. Yagura balled his fist and held it over his eyes. I said I'd bring change, save us from the bloody mist. Instead, all I did was make it worse. I had respect, I gave rise to the seas. But that was a different time, when I was still myself. His heart throbbed. My family, my son. I even killed his mother. Naori felt her heart break for the men. He had lost so much. Suffered unimaginable pain. What kind of monster would do this to someone? She began to feel pity for Yagura as he would die a monster everyone thought him to be. But she had a question to ask him. Do you know who placed you in that genjutsu? It's still kinda fuzzy. But it was a man with a mask. It had one eye hole. An Uchiha for a fact. Yagura answered, giving the best answer he could give. Thank you. I will do my best to look for this person who ruined your life. Naori promised to the men and to herself. Yagura gave a weak smile in the face of death. This was also crazy to him. He couldn't believe what he had become. His name would forever go down in history as one of the worst Kages to ever live. I was just a puppet, and now my strings have been cut. I am sure the rebels are waiting for my head. Yagura then gave a sad sigh. Who would ever want to be Kage? Naori moved closer with one of her swords and aimed to strike it down. I'll end your suffering. I'll take on the mantle of 5th Mizukage and right your wrongs. I create a new era in history for the mist. Thank you, Naori. I place all my dreams in your hands. He finished with a smile. Yagura closed his eyes for the last time and accepted the feeling of a sword being plunged right into his heart. And with that, the reign of the tyranny of the fourth Mizukage came to an end. XXX. The battle was now in favor of the rebels and everyone knew it. They were still fighting until Naori came to the battlefield again and flared her Susanoo to gain everyone's attention. In the open palm of her Susanoo was the dead body of Yagura. I have won. The shinobi who were loyal to Yagura began to drop their weapons and surrendered. While some didn't like the outcome of things and leaped to take revenge but were quickly cut down. But I must reveal some troubling information to you all. The battlefield grew quiet and they all looked on feeling nervous about what Naori might say. Yagura was being controlled by a genjutsu caste, by an Uchiha. The hearts of the Uchiha dropped. Their eyes widened and they felt their stomachs turn. No way, it was going to be like the Leaf Village all over again. Would everyone think of them as traitors, causing them to have to flee the village again? No way, that was impossible. They literally fought a war for this village, they died. Many of the ninjas from the mist turned to glare at the Uchiha. Giving them looks of hatred, this was all their fault in the first place. Someone had to pay. Traitors. Someone shouted and rushed toward the first Uchiha they could see. Stepping in the way, surprisingly, was Esteth. Stop. She shouted with force. There's no way these Uchiha could have done this. We've been with them this whole time. Why would they even do something like this? They fled the Leaf Village in search of a new home. They found us, and are fighting as we speak for a new future. Do you think they would really throw this all away? Oh yeah. How do we know you're not with them, bloodline scum? Tatsubi yelled, spitting blood on Esteth's foot from the ground. Her entire body was covered in ice as she had been trapped by Esteth and her little student. Because I believe them. Esteth simply answered. Also, making sure to give a hard kick to the talking trash on the ground. I too hated the Uchiha when they first came. I didn't trust any of them. But, as the days passed, I saw the effort they put in. The tears they shed for their comrades. They are no different from us fighting for what they believe in. We are even being led by an Uchiha. What a surprise, who knew you felt so kindly about us? Higgin said, smirking. Causing Esteth to flush from having admitted that. What Esteth says is right, I surrendered my leadership to Naori. I trust her to lead this country to a greater future than I could. And so should you. It was Mei who stepped up and talked. Thank you, everyone. Naori said with a grateful expression. The ninja around lowered their guard and now held looks of shame. Especially those of the rebels who fought with the Uchiha. Jinkasa blew a breath. Thought we were going to have to fight our way out of that one. You're telling me, I'm so hungry. Meera said, leaning on the taller boy who supported her weight. Come on, focus. We still might not be done yet. Naruto admonished the two as he was still on guard. Although now he was troubled. What Uchiha left and placed the fourth Mizukage in a genjutsu? A memory came to mind. When they were fleeing the leaf that night. There was someone else. Another Uchiha who knew about Madara's hideout. It must be that person. This would, however, take some digging. Yes, brother. Jinkasu said, getting back on guard. Roger, Roger. Meera gave a weak grin. I surrender. A shinobi from the Loyalists said. He threw up his hands. So do I. Me too. I give. I didn't want to fight anyways. Weapons began to pile on the ground as those who quit fell to their knees. Their actions became mimicked as the fighting came to a close. Die, bitch. Esteth cut Tatsubi's head clean off and for good measure, shattered the ice holding her body together. Sanagi shuddered his teacher's cruelty. Boy, was she scary. Naruto had some big balls going back and forth with her. Is it over? Chojuro asked hesitantly. He looked around, all their enemies lay dead or surrender. Those who surrender were now getting their chakra sealed off by sealing tags. Yes. We won. The war is over. Everyone soon erupted in cheers as the long war now came to an end. In the loud cheering, Amiri grabbed Shisui by the collar and stole a heated kiss, causing the teen to flush brightly. He soon fainted seconds afterward. Amiri just laughed until she felt eyes on her. Harabel glared down at her. What? Beat you to it? I don't know why you are acting like you was gonna kiss him anyways with your face always covered. Shursue, I didn't know you were involved with Amiri-san. Tell me when this all started. Izumi shook him ragged. Meera saw this and blushed, looking at Naruto shyly. At the worst time, Naruto turned and gave Meera a smile. She jumped on him in a hug, cheering along. We did it. Yes, we did. Naruto looked around. 2 years he spent fighting this battle. The physical battle and the mental battle. He had won both and came out of this a better man. But now things weren't over. They had to rebuild this country from the ground up and craft a new dynasty. And on his pride as an Uchiha, he'd make this the strongest hidden village. But for now, they would celebrate the night away. The Battle of Revolution came to an end on December 7th. In the month of miracles. When she woke, it was to a lavishly clean room that didn't hold a speck of dirt. The sheets on her bed were much more than an 8-year-old girl would need, as they were silky black that looked brand new. She got out the bed and felt the soft red carpet tickle at her feet. Pale feminine hands grabbed at the blue cup on the nightstand. She took a sip of the refreshing cold water. She then ran a hand through her raven black hair, similar to that of Mikoto's, her deceased mother. There was also a picture next to the cup. It was a family portrait. Everyone was in it. Her father, mother, and even her elusive elder brother. A sour feeling built up in her gut. She turned away from the picture and walked to her closet to get ready for the academy today. Tossing off her pajamas for a black high-colored top with the Uchiha symbol on her back. She put on gray shorts and wrapped her legs in white bandages. Finishing her outfit were black open-toed sandals. There was a bookshelf against the wall that was filled with ninja scrolls and books. These were things she took from the compound before it was closed off. It would help improve her training so she could take out her revenge on those bastards. A tanto hung on the wall next to several scrolls unrolled with writings in them. Gifts from the Hokage trying to get on her good side. Many villagers often gave her gifts, discounts on items, or just well wishes. They treated her like royalty in this village and always tried to butter her up, treating her as if she was still a helpless child. Looking in the mirror was her reflection. Short hair that framed the sides of her face and spiked softly in the back. She had shimmering black eyes that were always narrowed in glares or deathly scowls. I should hurry up, or I'm going to be late. Satsuki Uchiha. The last remaining Uchiha in the Leaf Village. A girl set on the path of revenge, an avenger who will stop at nothing to achieve her goal. Now she was at the academy, still getting bows and greetings from the civilians of the villagers. It made a small part of her sick. These people once rejoiced at the death of Naka Uchiha. It was one of the reasons she scowled at them. Now that she was the only Uchiha in the village, she was a highly valued individual, to say the least. All Satsuki had to do was ask, and she got whatever she wanted, no matter what it was. Satsuki often used this to her advantage by asking for ninjutsu scrolls, living arrangements, or anything else like that. What are you doing here? A loud and obnoxious voice yelled from behind her. Satsuki rolled her eyes in irritation at the voice. Why did I have to run into this idiot? Matter of fact. Don't even tell me. I don't want to hear your dumb voice. It was a boy her age with bright blonde spiky hair. He dressed poorly, a sign of how he lived as his black shirt was covered in stains. The only thing that wasn't dirty was the red spiral on his back. This was Menma Uzumaki, an outcast in the village. No parents, no friends, or anyone to go home to. Just like her. This was something Menma and her could connect on. But instead, it only served to drive a wedge between them. The boy was always picking fights with her. Just like he is now. You think you're so cool, huh? Newsflash, you're not. Menma stopped and took on a proud stance. Because I am. I'm the super cool ninja that's going to become Hokage. Humph. Although Satsuki didn't say anything, Menma could decode her sound into what it really meant. Oh. Don't believe me. Just you wait. I'll prove it to everyone how great I am. The world will know my name and chant it with big smiles. He ran ahead and imagined himself in the Hokage robes and people praising him.
Menma. Menma. Menma.
Satsuki left the boy to drown in his own fantasy. As if a loser like that could actually become the Hokage. They had class to attend, so she walked inside and Menma ran to catch up. Running through the halls and feet slamming against the red carpeted floor was a young girl of 8 years. Her long, weak blonde hair bounced behind her. It was styled for that of a princess and nobility while still befitting of a child. Her face was split into a smile as her legs moved as fast as they could with her full pink eyes shifting from side to side to locate the right door in the humongous estate. Her eyes shined when she finally saw what she was looking for. Big sliding doors guarded by 2 samurai guards blocked her path. "Young princess. What are you doing running around alone?" the men asked, kneeling down. "I need to see my mommy. There's something I must show her." She jumped in excitement. The guards looked at each other with silent questions. Before turning back to the girl. "High Priestess is communicating with the gods right now. I don't think now would be a good time to disturb her." That's when the door slid open and out came the elegant visage of the High Priestess. Lady Miroku wearing a lavish white and red kimono. An eye-catching detail was the golden crown sitting atop long brown hair complemented by pale skin. "Mommy." Miroku caught the girl and spun her around for a bit, giggling along with her daughter. "Cheyen, honey, what happened to you? Why are your clothes all dirty?" Cheyen answered with a beaming smile. "I was outside training." Miroku slightly frowned, but quickly wiped it from her face so Cheyen couldn't see. "What kind of training? I didn't tell anyone to train you." "Look." Cheyen held out her palm. A golden light quickly formed in the young girl's hands. A ball of golden light illuminated the long hallway, catching everyone by surprise. "See. It's a light ball. I did good, right?" Cheyen lost focus, and the ball began to evaporate into a wisp of chakra that sunk back into her skin, refreshing the girl. But she looked at her mother with large hopeful eyes, seeking any form of approval she could get. However, Miroku was left speechless at her daughter's chakra. Her powers, they are developing so fast. She won't be able to handle them. It will grow to become a problem that could endanger countless lives. Putting on a fake smile, Miroku hugged her daughter. "Good job, I'm very proud of you." Cheyen squealed as she rested in the embrace of her mother with a delighted smile. The world was at peace, she was at peace. Nothing could ruin this moment for her. It was enough to make her feel relaxed. So relaxed in fact, Cheyen closed her eyes and began to snore lightly. Miroku took her daughter in her arms and looked down with sadness. "This is not the life I want for you, you can't handle the responsibility. I will allow you to live a normal peaceful life, no matter what." She walked back into the room and looked back to the guards. "Don't tell anyone what you saw here today, understand?" she ordered. "Yes. High Priestess." The doors slid close and Miroku moved to lay Cheyen in the bed. The mother took a deep breath and calmed herself. What she was about to do might upset the goddess and also curse her to hell. But it was worth it all if it meant Cheyen could live a good life without problems. "I shall protect you, daughter, even if you hate me for it. No matter what, I'll keep you safe." Miroku took a bell from her robe and placed it in a small spherical container. She stuck the bell on Cheyen's yellow kimono with a smile. "This will keep you safe. Even when I can't." Miroku then wove through seals and touched her index finger to the bell. Mystic Safety Bell, Seal. A flash of light in the room was illuminated for only seconds. The sealing was done and Cheyen would not be able to access that powerful bloodline again. Not unless she gave permission to, which would not be anytime soon. But in the meantime, she could train Cheyen on how to become a proper lady and wife when the time came. Now what would she do about Morio? The seal she placed on him will weaken over time until it broke and he was free to attempt to destroy the world and create a Sennen Okoku, 1,000-year kingdom. There was one person who could stop him though. And he flashed into her mind, causing her to smile. "Naruto-kun, you have been chosen by our gods, to become the first Chitos no Shinobu. 1,000-year shinobi. A shinobi destined for greatness and 1,000 trails. Someone marked to change the world, for better or for worse." Miroku turned and left the bedroom so Cheyen could sleep peacefully. Her hair bristled, showing the Uchiha symbol on the back of her robe. Alright, that's it, hope you enjoyed, and if you did please like, subscribe and comment and don't forget to share the video with your friend and check out my Patreon for early access, lemons and exclusive content and that special picture-in-picture mode for all y'all mobile listeners and support the story's author. Link to all that will be in the description. See you in part 4.